Here comes the 1-0. That ball is going to be gone. It is out of here. It is a grand slam home run by Noah Myers. Will make him 2 for 13 for the season. He got his money's worth that time. How about Noah Myers?
Tommy Moody on the call last night. The Learfield IMG College broadcast right here on 107.5 The Game. 9-0 with 1 out to go. Final score ends up 9-5 last night for the Gamecocks against the Citadel. Noah Myers, first career home run for the Gamecocks, a grand slam, the big knock, and the Gamecocks get a relatively easy win. Jack Mahoney doing most of the work on the mound, and Carolina now cruising into the Ole Miss series on the road this weekend in Oxford, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Hope your Wednesday morning's off to a good start. Bill, Patrick, blank whiteboard today. Everything all right there? You not coming in hot?
No, I was late getting everything moving today. It was we had an early jump yesterday and a lot of energy. We got to figure out a plan for today's whiteboard.
Oh, sounds like he's struggling. What do you think, Bill? We're gonna have to. What are we gonna do with him today?
I get the feeling the first segment, the first hour, could be a little rough then because I almost had one of those Seinfeld moments where I didn't set the alarm clock correctly, and about 3 minutes ago I was still asleep.
Nice little AM PM. What was the problem here? Volume.
Just had volume.
Volume. Yep. That'll do it.
That's a good thing that I'm very prepared the night before, where all I had to do was come down and hop on the live stream. So about 3 minutes ago, I was still having wonderful dreams and snoozing away, and all of a sudden happened to wake up and look over at the clock and was like, that doesn't seem like the correct time. So I'm right there with Patrick, who looks actually, I at least look happy. Patrick, just as I look at him there on the live stream, looks grumpy, arms crossed.
Well, this is all part of the difficulties, I think, for the NFL analysts, right? It's all coming to a head. I think everybody handles it a little differently. Like, for me, I'm more excited now that the NFL draft is almost here. I feel like Patrick wanted to talk more about the 2022 NFL draft yesterday at one point, at least towards the end of the show, than maybe what's coming up tomorrow. Is that fair, Patrick, or am I misjudging you?
No, I'm just ready for it to start. Like, all of the work has been done. It's kind of, I really don't know. Like, I just want it to be tomorrow night at 8:00. There's really nothing I can do in the next day. I've done all the prep, and I'm just anxious now.
No news that will come out will change your mind and your draft
nothing
order.
Will change anything.
Okay.
It's like, I guess it's like the night of the first game. Like, you've done all your installs in. You're just sitting around waiting. This is how I imagine the first game is like, sitting in the hotel room. You got a hotel room the night before the first game, and nothing you can do but wait.
What should we expect from you tomorrow morning? Because I feel like it's near your Christmas morning, and just so I can mentally prepare, what do we get a very fired up Patrick Perrette? I know you'll have a busy night the night before. Do we get a guy who is just geared up and ready to go? Do we get a guy who's kind of like this, where you're just waiting patiently? What do we expect tomorrow?
No, I don't think you'll expect anything tomorrow. I think it's going to be more I don't know, because my schedule's so weird. I don't think I want to have an extra pep in my step until the live stream.
Well, but also, too, the way that the draft is now. Round 1 on Thursday night, rounds 2 and 3 on Friday night, and then rounds 4 through 7 on Saturday. Guys like you who really get into this thing don't really thrive until Saturday hits, right?
I mean, I love Friday night. Like, that's where the most talent is going to be taken, is going to be Friday night with rounds 2 and 3. There's just going to be, I mean, that's going to be like 70 picks of quality players that are actually going to make an impact. And then Saturday will just be, you're taking flyers, and you definitely get some impact in the early rounds, but by the time you get to round 7, you're just throwing darts, basically. So I'll enjoy it, but Friday night, if I had to pick my favorite night, it'll be Friday night.
I didn't see that coming. It's by far Thursday night for me is the pinnacle of NFL draft week, NFL draft year, the way they do it these days. And this year, it's completely different than last year, the feel. Wouldn't you guys agree? Last year, I was the most thankful I will ever be for the NFL draft. You guys remember where we were this time last year? It was just desolate on the sports landscape. Like this morning, we have so much to talk about compared to last year. Jack Mahoney last night, excellent on the mound for the Gamecocks. 7 2/3 shutout innings. After the game, Mark Kingston saying now he feels like he has a fourth starter to add to his frontline starting rotation that he put up against anybody in the country. That has some postseason implications, obviously. If you end up going anywhere in a loser's bracket in a regional or in a college World Series. Then you got a grand slam by a guy who has had very few at-bats, about a dozen on the season, and Noah Myers for yesterday. That's from the Gamecock baseball perspective with Ole Miss on tap. Did you guys see Ronald Acuna yesterday? 481 feet is how far he hit his home run. He hit it, and then it was almost like he was just so disgusted, slammed the bat down. How dare you even try to throw a pitch there? What a waste of time. Quite the night for the Braves offense, which continues to bounce back after one combined hit and a doubleheader over the weekend. Then we've got a couple of football news and notes. So, number one, Ole Miss. Did you guys want to guess where Ole Miss finished in SEC rushing last year? Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin.
Well, I know this. I know this story first. 219 yards per game.
You know what would have been kind to say, "Oh, I already read that." Patrick, why don't you go ahead and guess first? But no guessing games this morning. No kindness. Bill's popping right out of the bed with facts. All right. Yep, you're right. Ole Miss. How do you lead the league in rushing and then 3 days after the spring game fire your rush game coordinator, your run game coordinator, which I think we all think is just a title to get guys more money, but an offensive line coach down at Ole Miss that clearly performed pretty well is now without a job. Bill, you got any information on that or any kind of gas baggy hot take on what Lane Kiffin's doing with that?
Yeah, no, I saw that yesterday and was confused. You know, the only thing I could come to, the only conclusion I could come to, Matt Luke, the previous he's the previous head coach and the offensive line coach, and is now at Georgia, is widely considered to be one of the better offensive line coaches across the board. And I didn't take time to dig into Mississippi yesterday and figure out what happened. But the only thing I could figure is that Matt Luke had put together or left. I think it was Chris Clements, I believe. Randy Clements. The only thing I could imagine was that he had left Randy Clements a pretty good offensive line, and that maybe those guys graduated or they lost 2 or 3 guys, and that now things weren't looking so good, and maybe the coaching or maybe the development wasn't happening. That was the only thing I could come up with, because they're saying it's for football reasons, and okay, I just what did Lane Kiffin see in the spring that led him to believe now's when you make the change?
Yeah, will be interesting to keep an eye on that. Maybe another name pops up that it just makes more sense for Kiffin to hire, had a previous relationship, or just felt like he could upgrade that coaching position. But you can't upgrade past number one in the SEC. And Ole Miss's offense, no problems last year. So interesting that Kiffin is making a move there, but Kiffin always keeps things interesting, I feel like. The other big college football news yesterday, I think this is a guy that you've sat down with before at SEC Media Days, Bill. Mark Emmert, the NCAA president. Have you ever sat down with him at all, or am I misremembering that?
I think I've been at the table. I've never interviewed him, but I believe I've been around when Jay or Heath tackles him and drags him over to our table and forces him to say words on air. I think I've been around for that.
So he's now been extended as the NCAA president, which is interesting, especially this year after everything that has gone down, the name, image, and likeness stuff, and through 2025 now in the classic NCAA fashion. They didn't make any kind of announcement on this thing. I think they just kind of snuck it through unanimous approval, and then it took a little digging, I think, for people to figure out this situation. And Emmert definitely gets a a Roger Goodell rap. Would you say, Bill? Because I mean, Patrick, you know this better than anybody. This is a yearly tradition. I guess we'll get it back to some degree, maybe. Didn't get it from his basement, or maybe we did get it from his basement. Was he encouraging the booze yesterday? I mean, last year, weirdly, like virtually. Was that how it went down?
Yeah, it was really uncomfortable
It
because
was.
there was like a delay, and he's just like, "Yeah, come on, let me hear him." But normally, I don't think normally he loves it. He just kind of waits and then like has somebody there to introduce. Like if the draft is in Cleveland, he's probably gonna have like Jim Brown ready, and they're gonna start booing him, and he's gonna be like, "Hey guys, welcome to the draft. Here's Jim Brown." And
Here's my
then-
shield.
Yeah, exactly. And then they'll start cheering, and that'll be that.
Well, I brought him
Yeah.
up because Bill, I feel like that's the job of the NCAA president. You're just there as a dartboard. You're not going to be a popular character, just like Roger Goodell hasn't been popular, even though the NFL and college football, college basketball, amongst the most popular sports we have.
I think Paul Tagliabue was popular though before.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He definitely didn't have the reputation that Roger Goodell had. What do you think, Bill?
I don't know. I've never looked into, as you were bringing that up. I never thought to compare those two. I think Goodell is. How would you describe Patrick? How would you describe what his image is? Because I don't look at Mark Emmert and Roger Goodell the same way. I feel like they're actually two totally different characters and have two totally different images, and I'll explain that in a minute. But Patrick, how would you what do you think the general overall or the overall feeling of NFL fans are to Roger Goodell? Like how do you view him?
He makes a lot of money for the league, but doesn't care about the fans and is inconsistent in every decision making process that he has. But he makes money, so it doesn't matter.
See, I feel like Mark Emmert's almost viewed as weak and incompetent and like just not even that. I feel like at least people look at Roger Goodell and there's some form of respect or just, and like you said, maybe it's just because he makes money. Maybe it's because at least he seems in control of the situation. I feel like Mark Emmert, everybody looks at him as like, you're not in control of the situation. You don't even, you have no control of what anybody's doing. I almost feel like we look at Roger Goodell and be like, he's a little overbearing or, maybe he asserts himself into the situation a little bit too much. I feel like with Mark Emmert, it's more people going, hey, buddy, you really should take more control of when a school cheats, punish them, and not like hide from it. And I was trying to look real quick, and I guess this is public knowledge, how much Mark Emmert makes, because I also wonder, I know obviously if he's getting an extension, but I do wonder how much does Goodell make? I feel like it's $4 million. I'm taking.
No, I thought it was like,
It's
I think it's like
20
40.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's
and a
more
private
ridiculous.
jet.
I'm pretty sure it's 26. Let me double check that. I don't know why that has stuck with me, but yeah, it is not 4 for sure, and it's an absurd. Nope, you're right, Patrick.
Oh.
$40 million.
Oh, so I had the number. I had
Yep,
one
you
of
had
those
4.
numbers. I just left a 0. Well, that's why I thought it was 4. But good grief, there's no. You guys agree? There's no, and I don't see it here in this most recent article from CBS on it. It just says Mark Emmert's given an extension. We agree, Mark Emmert's not making $40 million, right?
No.
He's not, but there's a reason probably. They're not just throwing out his salary. I'm guessing for those of us who don't make anywhere near those kind of figures, we would read it and automatically just be bitter.
I'm sure
it's 7.
I'm sure
Don't you think it's 7 figures?
Yeah.
I bet it's in the millions.
Yeah, I would estimate that it's not 8 figures, but it's 7.
Right.
I just wonder who would want that job, because I feel like that's a no. There's no winning as president of the NCAA. It's a little bit too fractured, just because technically college football really doesn't have to follow you, right? Like the Big Five, I've talked about it before. The NCAA was not really in charge of the season being played or bowl games being played. The NCAA controls the FCS playoffs. They were the ones that were able to cancel that, do whatever they wanted with that. But as far as it goes for the Power Five, I guess is more of what I look at it. The NCAA is not in charge. Now that's different with college basketball. The NCAA is in charge of the college basketball tournament. they can control who's in and out of their tournaments. They have no control over the college football playoffs. So I feel like it's just kind of a fractured system.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Kevin hits us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. 1 year, Goodell cut his salary to $1. I think that was last year with coronavirus concerns, that $40 million.
Nah, I think that was during a lockout. He just didn't cut his salary for a couple weeks.
I've got in 2020.
He didn't go a whole year unpaid.
Gives up his $40 million salary and will cut league employees' pay. This is what I'm reading. Yeah, now this says decided to slash his salary to $0 in 2020 as America's most popular and profitable sports leagues deal with the economic fallout. So who knows how the actual finances worked out there. Talking about Emmert there in the NCAA bill, and you mentioned the NCAA basketball tournament. We all remember the women's basketball tournament controversy this year with the weight room basically not existing, and then the NCAA doing the old smoke and mirrors. That's what I feel like when you're talking about reputation. I feel like Roger Goodell enjoys to some degree that players wear a shirt with him and a clown nose, and that he has the reputation of being tough and maybe a disciplinarian, and guys not liking him and him not afraid to make the tough decision. Kind of being a football bro tough guy. You see the odd hugs, or the I guess maybe not odd hugs, but the celebration on draft night with guys, and the big bro hugs and stuff we've never seen from a commissioner before. And then I feel like Mark Emmert is more of the Wizard of Oz, and don't look over here, little smoke and mirrors over here, and he's kind of the guy behind the curtain, is what I feel like the difference in reputations are. But certainly two of the most powerful guys in sports, and we'll see Roger Goodell on display there tomorrow night, starting with the NFL draft. Looking forward to that. We'll see if we can get Patrick interested this morning. I feel like he's just maybe in the worst mood we've ever seen.
That's not mood. My head is just
pounding. Playing hurt this morning. Playing hurt.
Play through it. If you can get to 8 o'clock, I can come in from the bullpen and really save you here.
Gamecock,
really
your show.
7:35.
Gamecock Will
show.
started us on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Wait, Bill is using fax? What's up with that? That was a surprising start where Bill knows even the Ole Miss football stats. Well done. You can tell we're all a little maybe off our game. Let you hear a little bit from Carolina baseball coach Mark Kingston after last night's 9-5 win against the Citadel, which was a 9-0 game with 1 out to go, and the Citadel rallied for a 2-run and a 3-run homer there to make the final score a lot closer than the game actually was. So some Mark Kingston thoughts coming up next about Carolina baseball. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The home of the Gamecocks. New head football coach, Shane Beamer.
I'm a process-driven person, and we're going to get started day one, advancing this program and making it better.
107.5 The Game.
I know it's cliche, but it's the truth.
Welcome.
Strong on the text line. Wait.
Put together
Feckless and indiscriminate.
All right, let me go wake
Feel
some
free to
kids
sit this
up.
one out, man. At least go grab something for your head.
Yeah, let me go get the kids. That's what I'm saying. Is that a block of ice?
It's an ice pack.
It's a good looking ice pack. Mine is blue like that. I've never seen the clear one. It does look like actual ice.
Blue one too.
Impressive.
Ooh.
So we'll give you guys the early heads up here. Let's see if I can get this graphic in that Jim made. Awesome job, by the way, Jim. Maybe this will get you in a better mood, Patrick. At this point, not looking good that you're gonna make it there.
I'll make it.
Check this out. How about
There we
that?
go. I like that.
Fantastic work by Jen Jensen, ladies and gentlemen. So we got the live stream going down tomorrow night. If you guys want to be in on it from the video standpoint, let us know in the chat right now. We'll get you on the list and shoot you the link. We can have up to 10 people on at one time. Not sure exactly how it'll go, but it'll be fun. So we're gonna pop on just like we did a few times during basketball seasons, just the old second screen kind of deal. Good morning, Beverly.
We got time? You're all right?
We got time.
Yeah, like 3 minutes.
Oh, there's a 200 character limit on the tickers.
Yep. But you can just continue the next one as a next ticker.
All right, Gunner kids are awake. I've set out some breakfast, gotten the some of the stuff for lunches semi put out.
Sounds like you're semi in control.
So I need to move
Definitely
your.
a solid recovery from what I would say 24 minutes ago.
Do I need to move your spot to 740?
Let's just move it. Can we move it to 640? Is that all right?
Mhm.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and we'll knock Crowder out then, and then that looks like it for the day, huh?
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, very thin.
It is weird. That's fine.
We have a fill in for traffic right now. Our normal traffic guys is off for the week, taking vacation.
Oh, that would be why I was having to go on like an Easter egg hunt to make sure I found them all because they were in places that they shouldn't have been.
Yeah, and I sent you an email. I forgot that Jay is also a AAA heating and air guy, so no need to pay attention to that email. Thank you for finding the Crowder.
Oh, okay.
And do you have a Kingston bite that we could use coming back?
Yeah, I have Mahoney.
That works for me.
Yeah. Mahoney.
I can't hear Mahoney without thinking of
Police Academy?
a movie franchise. Yep. Mahoney.
That was a good movie.
I was not going to get that one.
In years.
You have not watched that one either, Bill?
I know.
What?
I watched. I don't. Is it worse? Is it worse that I watched? I think my dad had me watch I watched half of the first Police Academy, and I didn't really care for it, so I haven't watched any more. Or would it be worse if I've never seen it at all?
Good question.
I'm not a fan.
It's bad either way. The question is, how bad is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I have seen of it. I have seen it.
You need to watch the whole thing.
I saw half. That was
I haven't
good.
seen it in probably 20 years, probably. I would guess.
Yeah, this occurred when I was little. This did occur when I was, I would say around 10ish, around.
Oh yeah, no, you
early
need to
90s.
You need to watch it with your 12-year-old brain now.
I'm guessing Patrick hasn't seen this, even the movie buff that he is. Any Police Academy viewing?
I think I've seen the first one when I was young. I know it was a show, right? As well.
No, I don't think so. It did come from the Police Squad, maybe. I think maybe it was off of that. No, that Naked Gun, right? Naked Gun might have been based on the Police Squad. I think that was the TV show.
So do you
I
like
don't know
Mahoney
why
after,
this is.
after
Let me do a
live?
liner first, and I'll set it up. Cool.
Yep. Here we go.
If you ever wanted to grill Bill, now is your chance. 1075thegame.com is the place to go. Contest tab there at the top of the page. Pop in some questions. Every Monday, we grill Bill here on 1075 The Game. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Pork Board, its member farmers, IGA Food Stores, and Camp Chef. Our Monday morning qualifiers get a $50 IGA gift card and are entered to win a Camp Chef pellet grill worth more than $1,000. Just throw in some creative questions there. Ideally, we make Bill a little uncomfortable. We have some fun, and everybody wins here with Grill Bill on 1075 The Game. Right now, I wanted to hear a little from Mark Kingston last night. It was freshman pitcher Jack Mahoney going 7 2/3 innings of shutout baseball to help the game.
1 out away from a 9-0 win, ended up 9-5 last night over the Citadel.
Mahoney was outstanding on the mound. He attacked the strike zone, had really good command and control. Only had the 6 strikeouts, but he got a lot of early contact because his fastball has a lot of movement and got a lot of quick outs, and just really got in a great rhythm. And yeah, the plan was to have him pitch like a starter, and we haven't used him much on the weekends. So the plan was to not only for the short term have him help us win this game tonight, but long term continue to develop and get a really good feel for what it's like to be a big time starter.
Carolina baseball coach Mark Kingston again going on to say now he has confidence in 4 guys, 4 of his starters, and that could come in very big. He didn't want to jinx anything talking about the postseason and the whole deal, but obviously the more quality starting pitching that you can have, maybe even Mahoney in more of a regional / super regional type atmosphere becomes a guy you go to out of the bullpen maybe earlier than you otherwise would have. Bill, I felt like we saw it with Arkansas. As opposed to Wicklander in that last game, the first 2 guys they threw out there didn't necessarily have the usual SEC starter numbers, certainly nowhere close to Vandy and Kamar Rocker and Jack Leiter or Florida's frontline guys. They were more guys who you're trying to get 5, 6 innings with a huge bonus, and then you turn it over to the bullpen. I know Carolina has had really good frontline guys through the years, but felt like what really separated them in their national championship run was the bullpen and how often they were able to turn it over to the bullpen, get really favorable matchups, and game in, game out, time after time would be able to shut other teams down. And that really helped change college baseball into what it is today. Jack Mahoney throwing well last night against the Citadel is not going to lift the Gamecocks into a national title this year. I'm not trying to say that, but certainly a good sign for things down the stretch for Carolina as they start their 4 final SEC series at Ole Miss this weekend.
Maybe, but I feel like that's a byproduct of the 5-round Major League Baseball draft last year. I feel like everybody has really good pitching. That the pitching, this is what we saw from, this is kind of the carryover from the extra scholarships and some guys not being able to get drafted and maybe go as they would have, is that it's not just at South Carolina, but you mentioned at Arkansas and Vanderbilt and Florida, all have really strong pitching staffs. And you can go down the line. Mississippi State, Tennessee has been a byproduct of that as well. I think your bigger concern going forward continues to be the bats and being able to, you've said it multiple times, it's kind of an odd thing with South Carolina. Even I was listening to you on the Friday afternoon broadcast when South Carolina got hot and got rolling, and you had mentioned it. You saw it against LSU. They go, what was it, 16 innings? Is it 9? Is that right? 9 plus 7 there. Roughly, I guess, at 15 innings because they put up 4 runs in the 7th at LSU. But they go 15 innings of putting up 1 run against LSU. And all of a sudden, the bats like just awaken. They score 4 in the 7th in Baton Rouge. And then the next game, the game 3 down in Baton Rouge, they put up 9. They were able to go get hot at the 2 o'clock game, or the afternoon game against Arkansas, and I think put up, 5 or 6 runs there in that victory, and then they kind of go silent again. So, to me, what you're saying is true about the pitching depth, but I don't think that that's just at South Carolina. And I think the reason for that is you only had the 5-round Major League Baseball draft. You didn't have some guys who either in high school would have been drafted, say, closer to round 10, that maybe would have had a decision to make, or a junior who maybe gets drafted in rounds 7, 8, 9, 10, who would have gone on to a professional career, but instead are back and are really, really good pitchers. And so, how much of it is it an advantage for South Carolina? Because, again, you look at these next few series, 3 of them, I think, are sitting with almost the exact same situation of really, really deep pitching staffs.
Yeah, I think one of the differences for Carolina is to have a freshman like Mahoney, who's proven he can do it. He can do it now as a starter or out of the bullpen, and another freshman in Will Sanders as the number 3 guy, who has really shown that he can be a guy in big moments in either role as well, out of the bullpen and as a starter. I think that versatility and those guys, just how dynamic they've been in their first year, really impressive stuff. But you're right, college baseball is at its highest level because of the COVID issues and the condensed Major League Baseball draft, no doubt about that. Other Gamecock baseball notes from last night, and let you hear a little bit more from Mark Kingston about this as we move on this morning. But when Wes Clark and Brady Allen are going well for the Gamecocks, it is a different offense. And I know Wes Clark has been struggling after just the hottest possible start he could have gotten off to. He's been sitting on 15 home runs for a few weeks now, but last night, a good sign for him as well. On base all 5 times, he was up to the plate, perfect 3 for 3 with a couple of walks. His buddy Brady Allen, leadoff guy, 4 for 5 with a 2-run homer in the 8th inning last night. Throw in who I think is, I guess Andrew Eister would probably be their 3rd guy. Braylon Wimmer not far behind. Eister going 0 for 4 last night with a walk, but Wimmer was 2 for 4 with 3 RBI as well. When you get those guys, those critical bats coming through, this Gamecock offense does go to a bit of a different level. And last night, no problem against the Citadel. Again, if you're just looking at the box score, you see 9-5. You're probably not that impressed, but know that it was 1 out away from a 9-0 shutout. And the Citadel scratching across a handful of runs there with a couple of home runs in the ninth. I wanted to switch gears a little bit to the NFL draft, and oddly quiet yesterday. Is that a fair way to put that, Patrick? Not many headlines sitting here today. Maybe it was because of the ridiculous headlines that the 49ers were comfortable with 5 quarterbacks at that number 3 spot that we were talking about yesterday, and the ridiculous comment from Kyle Shanahan that he can't guarantee anyone's on the roster come Sunday because he can't guarantee anybody's on earth come Sunday.
Yeah, I think it was just everyone trying to make sense of that interview, and not just the I don't know who will be alive on Sunday comments, but it generally seeming like they're second guessing their decision and trying to make sense of that, and how much the fans and the ownership are now kind of stepping in after the initial trade and the word that it was going to be Mac Jones, and then kind of debates on, is that problematic if there's any wavering in the decision making because of the fan base or the ownership? And it's definitely an interesting situation. And this is the week where owners are starting to get more involved than usual, because most of the owners are not involved step by step in the draft process. But this is where they show up in the facility and say, hey, what's going on? Who we taking? Oh, you're taking that guy? Ooh, I'm not so sure I like that guy. And it creates a lot of problems for the scouts that have spent a year on this stuff.
I was going to ask, what type of owner would you guys be?
I would be a meddling owner.
You've got you guys. There you go, Daniel Snyder. Good job. Like you've got your general manager, you've got your head coach, you've got everything in place that you're supposed to allow these guys to run the organization. But do you come in and say, hey, no, this is who I want us to take. I don't care if he fits or doesn't fit.
I would grow a pencil-thin mustache and always show up in a 3-piece suit only, and probably have a cane and a top hat, maybe a monocle involved. I feel like that's the type of owner I would be, because it would basically be my little monopoly hobby I think if you're an NFL owner at that
Yeah.
point, just come in and give some high fives. Maybe say, welcome to the family. You guys take care of it. You don't do your jobs, you're
Oh, yeah.
fired. No big deal.
You know what? Whether it's true or not, all the funny little stories I'll never forget about Jerry Jones back in the 2014 draft, I believe, when they were picking at 18 and everybody thought he wanted to take Johnny Manziel. So there were stories that they tricked him to go to the bathroom at like pick 15 and then locked him in there because I think they took Patrick, remind me. I think they took a tackle. I think they took a tackle that ended up
Zach Martin.
Been
yeah,
fantastic.
I think there was one story that they told him at pick 15, hey, this could take a minute. Why don't you go to the bathroom? And then they like barricaded him in there and then let him out after the pick so that he couldn't. I think it was a funny story about him trying to get to the phone with the sheet to call into the people at the draft, but he got tackled at the 2-yard line and couldn't make it to the phone. So, these owners, man, I think it's interesting. Patrick, you talked about it. Daniel Snyder basically just overriding everybody for Dwayne Haskins a few years ago because of some family relationships, and I guess just blowing up everything the scouting department had done for a year. That's why I think it'd be kind of fascinating. If you're an owner, what kind of owner would you be? Are you meddling in it? Are you sitting in the war room that night? Are you saying, no, I appreciate all you guys' opinions, and I realize you guys have spent a lot of time looking and deciding, and you have a team you want to run, but it's my team, and I get to pick who I want.
Well, to me, this gets into what's a good boss. Like, what's a good owner in this situation in the NFL? Because you don't want to have the clueless guy who doesn't care, right? You don't want that guy. Isn't the Jacksonville owner does he have that reputation? Who in the NFL has that reputation of being a bit of a clueless guy who just doesn't care?
Oh, just a rich guy that shows up and
signs the checks. You don't want
Georgia
that.
McCaskey for the Bears.
Yeah, you don't want that all.
Not Sheila Ford. There's a couple
it's tricky,
that just
man.
But what do we make of Robert Kraft?
I mean, you got to give him much credit, right? From the football standpoint, the off the field issues here recently have been odd, as Jen gives us a weird look, and then just the power struggle towards the end of the Tom Brady and the Tom Brady era with Bill Belichick and the whole thing. I feel like he's the exception because of all the success and the way that the Patriots have run the league for forever. To me, it's these other guys. It's the Hunt family with the Chiefs, the Rooney family with the Steelers. I feel like those families, the Mara family that has done it with the Giants pretty well through the years. I think
whose business is football.
Right. I think those are kind of the gold standard in the NFL. And then you have maybe the next level below that. I feel like the Carolina Panthers, to a large degree, kind of on that next level. Pretty well-run organization outside of Jerry Richardson's embarrassing exit, but through the years, relatively consistent, but never kind of upper echelon, but on that next tier. And then you have the dynamic owners out there who love the headlines. The Jerry Jones, the Dan Snyders. Maybe Snyder's not necessarily that guy, but he gets the headlines either way. You got what's going on in Cleveland there with the Haslam situation and how that's always been a mess down at the bottom of the totem pole. I feel like you get all kinds of guys, but I think it's a good starting place for some bad boss stories out there. If you've got some, love to hear them, because it's really easy to identify, I think, and put your finger on a bad boss, right? Probably someone who is overly meddlesome and doesn't let you do your job, doesn't give you your space, the whole thing, and then just maybe personally crosses the line or just gets in your business. But then I think it's much more difficult to like verbalize, hey, what's a good boss? What are some good boss stories? Because I think a lot of times a good boss just stays out of the way, or you don't notice it. It's kind of like maybe a good ref, right? You never come out of a game like, man, that was a really well officiated game. Rarely do you get that headline, or maybe even a good broadcaster. You just don't notice it. You're just hoping and expecting for that. Love to hear your bad boss, good boss stories this morning. 803-404-6100 is the number. I'll give an example when we come back of my bad boss, good boss experience has to do with sports, maybe when it should not have to do with sports in the old business world, and one of the first jobs. 803-404-6100 again is the number if you'd like to call or text. More from Mark Kingston after the 9-5 win last night over the Citadel for Gamecock baseball. It's the early game here on 107.5.
The home of the Gamecock and new head football coach Shane Beamer. 107.5 The Game.
Today is an absolute dream come true. Not just to be a head football coach in the Southeastern Conference, but to be the
helping the kids get ready for school this morning, much like Jacob Kraus, helping you save money. I'm being a, get to school guru is maybe what we call me, a drop-off guru. I'm not sure. We'll figure that out just in a little while. But I need to tell you about the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder. Again, helping people save up to $400 on their monthly mortgage payment if they want to refinance their existing one. You can give them a phone call this morning to start the process. 803-719-1005. So many people are interested right now because interest rates are low. It's a great time that Jacob has added Brian Kovar to the team. And Brian, a huge fan of the movie Hoosiers. We were talking about Police Academy off air a little while ago. Brian's a huge fan of Hoosiers. He always wants me to remind you not to get caught watching the paint dry, which I guess is slang for don't miss a golden opportunity. If you're looking to buy, if you're looking to refinance, now is the time. Get in touch with the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder and Brian Kovar, 803-719-1005. You can email them, the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER at firstpalmetto.com. That's the way you start the process. See what you can become approved for if you're looking to purchase a new home. See what interest rate and what you can lower your payments to if you're looking to refinance. Don't miss a golden opportunity. 803-719-1005. He's the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank. Do what? I can't hear you. What? Yeah, I mean, what do you want to say? Those chips, or do we have? We don't have any of these ones, which is fine. Yeah, barbecue, Cheetos, Cool Ranch Doritos. I don't think that's sour cream. So you got those three, or we can get a bag of some of those. All right, go do this. You just gonna go to your book bag, or do you want your lunch box out? Well, there's a order bag. All right. We're talking about odors. They good? All right, put it in your bag. You want to brush it, eat that.
My bad. Forgot we just had Bill up there. You gotta save him. Too much family. Getting ready for school. Background there. Head doing any better, sir?
I don't know.
Sounds like a no.
It was kind of, I guess. It was a weird night. I was just kind of low energy, tight, and then my head started hurting right when my work was done and I was driving home.
A 7-7 6-inning tie in Coach Pitch baseball would have had you in a different mood last night. 6-year-old coming through with a big 2 RBI hit late in the game to tie it. Huge run also.
Did it get dark and that's why it ended, or what?
No, time limit. When the game started at 7, kids were probably out late to begin with.
What's the time limit? 2 hours?
No,
an hour. 6 innings in an hour. It's pretty good.
Yeah, we were rolling through, baby. Had the good stuff working last night. Cutter was moving nicely. Cutter slurve.
See, Elon Musk is going to be on Saturday Night Live next weekend.
No, he's hosting?
Yeah, and the cast does not sound happy about it.
I bet.
I saw that they're rebelling because he's too rich. They don't want him to be on because he's too rich.
Yeah.
21st century, man.
Wait, everybody that hosts SNL is filthy rich.
Oh,
Elon
yeah,
Musk,
they're, yeah.
but
Well, he's not really. There's very few that are not actors who have hosted that past. You know,
If you want to get that far, we're almost done, and then we'll start to get out.
Okay.
Whee!
Oh, a bunch, Anthony. A bunch. Mostly, yeah, tried not to do too many fist pumps afterwards. Oh, great article on The Athletic about Dennis Eckersley yesterday. If you're a baseball guy at all, check that out.
Sounds like you were mowing down the kids last night. Is that what I'm understanding?
7-7, 6-inning tie is how we left.
6-inning tie.
Yeah. Time limit, man. Time limit will get you.
Yeah. I can remember a few times where games would be running long and we finally eked out a lead, and it's like, please, the clock. Everybody's watching, you know, like, come on.
Right.
So Justin Smoke hit his first. Yeah, Tim retweeted that. Hit his first home run in Japan last night.
Yeah.
All right, head it back in.
A few more, about 2 minutes. So anything you need, just make sure you got it. Okay.
I brushed my teeth. I put on new socks in.
Okay. Yeah, you look good. Those are your new shoes too. I like those. Okay. All right. You got your iPad?
I'll take shorts.
About an hour from now will be your first of 10 chances today to win $100 in our 25K Workday Payday contest here on 107.5 The Game. Every hour, a secret keyword from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. is announced, and then you just text it in 95819. You get a chance to win $100. Also, every winner entered into the drawing for a grand prize jackpot of $25,000. That's our 25K Workday Payday. So during college, the summer job was working at a sporting goods store in a mall, and our manager would always stay in the back room. And most of the time, I'd say about 90% of the time, he was drawing a baseball diamond and setting up his like all-time baseball lineups back there throughout all of history. He'd come out and be like, "What do you guys think over here? I'm really struggling. Do I put Pete Rose at second base? Do I put him at third base?" And I'd say, I'd probably put, I don't know, Joe Morgan's pretty good second base, but he moved Pete Rose over to third. Maybe you put, I don't know, Rogers Hornsby, I always heard was a good second. It's like, all right, go back like 30 more minutes and come back out and crunch some numbers. Like, all right, here's what I did with the all-time baseball lineup. Had nothing to do with him being the boss of the sporting goods store. Probably one of the best bosses, if not the best boss I ever had. It's a good gig.
You mean the guy who clearly was not paying attention to what y'all were doing?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, come on. You sell some shoes, you sell some socks, you're good. That stuff takes care of itself. What you really need to do is come best baseball lineup of all time. That's
Sounds like a good plan to me.
NFL owners, they're going to screw it all up here in the next few days for their teams. Love to hear your bad boss, good boss stories. Hour 2 coming.
Yeah, we'll
Good
just
luck
go ahead
out
and keep
there,
one of those out.
All right, let me get the little minions to school, and then I'll be back. And Patrick, maybe you go to bed, and I'll come back, and we'll cut up or something. All right?
Yeah,
falling apart.
See where Travis is taking us down the path. Out of college, was a warehouse manager for a furniture company. Boss had a beach house in Edisto. I like where we're going here. Came to me and 2 other supervisors, asked if we wanted to have a weekend trip for all the hours we put in. Plans to leave Friday at lunch, get to work at noon. Gets closer, our boss comes up to us and says we need to load a truck full of furniture, bedroom suits, kitchen table type stuff. Okay, leaving me hanging, Travis.
See where this is going, though.
Gotta have part 2. So he's labeling it as good boss, good boss, all in the same weekend. So I see the good boss offering the beach house. I see the bad boss delaying the weekend by having to load a bunch of furniture.
I'm hearing the song "Working for the Weekend" coming in.
We need to get the dramatic conclusion to this thing, Travis. You've left us hanging. So, Jen, how many radio bosses have you had? Radio, I just call them GMs.
I've had 2, 3, 4, 5.
Gotcha. Oh, Jason, if you can see the whole thing, then help us out, man. Yeah, I can't see that whole thing. That's all I got. Same with you, Patrick?
Limits the
Yeah,
characters.
that would make sense. That
So, Travis, if you can, the last thing I saw was kitchen table type stuff. You can maybe just copy and paste after that. Craig, go ahead and read it all then. Read it all for us, and we won't be able to hear your voice.
And so that do well.
Got it. So on Facebook, you can see it all. So that's nice to know that. Jason concludes it very succinctly. He made it to the beach house. I think that means had an open tab on his boss.
Nice.
That is good.
That would be nice.
So, Jen, out of the 5 radio bosses, what's the percentage here? What's the number of good boss / bad boss? I know there's been recently. I know of one of each.
Yes. Our current one's fantastic. Previously, I envisioned lighting his yard on fire. Drilling a hole in his boat. Anyway, but all the others were really. I've been pretty fortunate. I've had really good, good GMs. Of course, I would deal with, as you know, you deal with PDs more than anything, program directors. Very fortunate with those. So yeah, I've been pretty fortunate. Really, the one that you're aware of is really the only one that was really bad. How about you?
No, pretty good. And I guess the older I get, the more the ones that stay out of the way I appreciate.
Exactly.
Let you do your job.
Yeah, because the one I had when I did, because I was B106 for a really long time, and we had a great GM then that, we did our thing, and we were very successful, and I think that it just was a good team. You know, the micromanaging it doesn't work. It really doesn't work. And I think the ones who don't know what they're doing are the ones who tend to micromanage because they think they know what they're doing, but maybe they're trying to cover it up or something, and they're not doing that well. So they just try to stick their fingers in the pie, and it's disastrous.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're describing NFL owners.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much.
Patrick, how did Snyder keep that team?
Amidst all this controversy?
Yeah.
Because the owners would have to be the other owners would be the ones that would have to fire him, and they don't want to set a precedent of firing each other and having their personal lives investigated or anything like that.
So he was able to keep it because the other guys were not exactly squeaky clean either. Huh?
Yeah, they don't want anyone looking in their closets.
Ridiculous. I thought with Kraft, the cheese got pretty binding, but
yeah, I mean, Snyder's only gotten more powerful since all that happened because now he has full control of the team. So. Yeah, nothing's gonna change there. But he's weird. Like he definitely wants to be loved, and he's a fan of the team, and always has been a fan of the team, but is by far the most hated person in that town.
I think I'd love to see the management team I would love to see fans lock the Bears management team, Pace and company, lock them in a bathroom or something during the draft and then kind of take over everything.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty amazing.
I think it's dangerous what they're doing with keeping Pace around because he knows this is his last year. Having a lame duck general manager is a dangerous position because if you just trade the whole future.
Now I see.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Okay. I'm patting you guys up.
Great good boss, bad boss, good boss story from Travis. Worked for a furniture company, it looks like. Had the boss come to those guys and say, hey, I know you guys have been working some long hours. Really want to reward you. We got a beach house. You guys come for the weekend. And then as they're about to leave on Friday at noon, the boss comes and say, hey, we need to load this truck full of furniture. The good stuff, the bedroom suits, the dining room, the kitchen tables. That furniture truck just happened to go into his friend's beach house. And if you guys have ever been to a beach house at all, you understand loading and unloading up houses that are built on stilts and are required to be built on stilts. I would imagine the furniture mover's nightmare. And that's exactly what happened. But fortunately, Travis and his employees, his fellow employees, were taken to the boat club by the boss later. Open tab on him. Whew. That's sneaky. Mention this because here in the next few days, we're going to see examples of good owners and bad owners in the NFL.
Particularly tomorrow.
Patrick, where are you going in your power rankings? Good owners in the NFL. 1, 2, and 3.
Well, I'd say Art Rooney probably number 1 because we didn't talk about it because it wouldn't need to be talked about. It wouldn't need to be talked about here, but they extended Mike Tomlin. They extended Mike Tomlin, and if he coaches out that contract, it'll be 3 coaches in 65 years or something like that. Right. They're just the absolute model of stability. So I would definitely put him probably number one. Robert Kraft, I mean, is definitely beloved, so he's probably 1A or 1B. And then Clark Hunt probably is up there too. I think all of the football families you would put in that category, not the ultra rich businessmen that ended up buying a football team because it would be fun.
Okay, well, Jerry Jones and his family are football families now, with Stephen Jones helping run the business. But I see what you're saying. I mean, played at Arkansas, had the relationship there with Jimmy Johnson, certainly a football-like background, but football was not his business. I think that's how you're making the delineation there, right?
Yeah, and I wouldn't put him anywhere near. I think if you were power ranking them, he'd probably be in the bottom 10, maybe, I would think, because although, I mean, I don't know, because there are owners that like nobody knows a thing about, that just kind of sit there in the back, and I don't know how you weigh that. And I truly don't know how the fan base feels about Jerry Jones. I know Cowboys fans that hate Jerry Jones, and I know Cowboys fans that appreciate it because he takes chances. And I mean, obviously he does want to win. And like we were talking about with the draft, he has shown restraint, notably twice in the draft in the last 7 years, by letting the football people pick Zach Martin instead of Johnny Manziel. He didn't impose his will there. And then when he was trying to trade for Paxton Lynch, the Broncos ended up trading ahead of Dallas, and he let the football people basically let them say, don't trade our entire future for this one guy. So, I mean, as aggressive as he is, and I think he's a terrible general manager, and if an owner named himself general manager today, there would be an uprising in that city. I think he has shown restraint at certain times.
Well, you got to give his son Steven a bunch of credit for that lately, I think, and being able to turn over that. I mean, that's got to be a difficult thing to do. I feel like in any family business, when it goes from the father to the next generation, there's always a tough transition in a lot of ways. It very rarely, I think, smoothly goes from one generation to the next. But in football, with all the power and with all this the scrutiny, you do have to give Jerry Jones a bunch of credit for being a good businessman. And what the Dallas Cowboys have done from the business standpoint is incredible. It's just from the winning and losing standpoint, it's a much different deal. Mark hits me up on Twitter at TimHill1075. 3 worst owners. He says Dallas, New England, and Washington.
3 worst?
I guess why you would put Robert Kraft in there, the recent illegal issues, and you maybe just don't like him, but you can't call him the worst. That just doesn't make any sense. Where are you? I know you are. You have a special relationship with the Washington football team, and you've talked about Daniel Snyder in detail in years past. I feel like you put him somewhere in the middle. You think he gets more of a bad rap than he deserves? Is that a fair characterization, sir?
No, I think nationally he might not get. I don't know. He might not get bad enough rap. I'm not sure everyone knows the lengths of what he does. I mean, I hear it about on DC radio all the time, but just he's extremely litigious and just always getting into lawsuits. Like, he's still in the middle of a lawsuit with that company, that Indian sports website that put out the story about him being linked to Jeffrey Epstein, and he's suing them for defamation. They've already basically gone under, and he's just continuing to. There's other things with him trying to expose documents for former GM of the former GM and president Bruce Allen, and he was trying to get the cell phone messages of a former GM's wife because he heard she was talking bad about him. He sued a season ticket holder for years ago, just random little things that are just terrible. And he meddles at the wrong times. And yeah, I don't think he's getting a bad rep. I think that's just how it is. I just think that he wishes his team was good. And I think every owner, it's kind of weird because every owner that meddles like that, they think they're doing it for the right reasons. And if I put myself in those shoes, I would definitely want to be involved in the draft and who we pick, because I would think that I would know best. But Snyder's clearly a moron, so it's not the same thing. He let his son have influence on the Dwayne Haskins pick, apparently, when everyone in the building said we don't want we don't want Dwayne Haskins. He's not the guy. So
yeah, was it Jay Gruden that came out not too long ago and said, "Yep, we were doing all of our stuff," and then minutes before the pick, the owner comes in, tells us who we're going to take, and that's that. Chris hits us up on the Facebook live stream. Micromanaging never works. Jason, good ball story. Took us surfing at the Outer Banks. Made us drive the whole time, but I can't blame him on that. Lifeguards for life. Cullen says, good boss, bad boss. I worked for my dad back in the day.
Uh-oh.
Love him to death. Have a great relationship with Pops. But working for him? Yeesh.
I think, like, I don't have really any stories, but I know that, like, my only bad boss, not even story, just what he would do was he was the owner of a company that I worked for a lot, and I would be down in the warehouse doing things, working for, like, helping other people out, and just he'd randomly come down and say, like, hey, I need you to build a shelf for my office. And I was like, all right, well, I'm working on this thing that needs to be done by the end of the day. And he's like, yeah, it's fine. Just come build this shelf in my office. I'd have to tell the other people, like, hey, I guess you need to do this now. So, like, that's what I feel like is the Dan Snyder thing, even though I think, like, if you're an owner that just shows up on draft day and says, here's who you need to take, and you weren't involved in the process at all, that's where it's the biggest issue. But there are owners that are in there every day. Like, it's a 9-to-5 job for them. They show up every single day. They're always talking. Like, if that's the case, then it's okay for an owner to have more influence on who the draft selection is going to be. But the worst thing possible, and conversely, it's okay for an owner to not be completely involved and just say, I'm worried about the business of the team. You guys pick the players and run the football side of things. I'll run the business side of things. That's also okay. But what's not okay is just not being involved and then showing up in the war room on Thursday night and saying, here's who we're going to take.
Or how there are bosses out there. I didn't even think these guys existed. I thought it was only like on movie characterizations, but have had experience with a boss who has very little input on a decision, but will take complete credit for it. Like, those are the worst. Like, the owners, if there's a good pick, then you always see the owner talking about it, like talking about how much he liked the guy and the whole thing. Oh, that's the worst. Chris says, I work for my in-laws now. Have for 18 years. My wife works here too. Plenty of good days and some bad days as well. Mark, any Washington fan knows that the Washington owner is a bad one. Been involved in way more than he should with a lot of picks and much more. And Chris also giving Stephen Jones a shout out for being great the last few years. And I think you are comparing it to probably his dad before then. So I don't know.
Yeah, it hasn't been a lot of success, so I don't know about great.
Cam from Blythewood. Good story on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100. Hired as an intern my junior year of college at a financial advisor's office. First couple of days, I assisted with researching stocks. After the first week, things devolved to my boss making me drive to his house to take his trash out. Quit after 3 weeks. Good call, Cam. Good call getting out of there.
Yeah. I mean, even as an intern, you still need to, have something that's of value. I was fortunate that an internship I did at B96 in Chicago. And I thought, I'm just going to be carting boxes around and stuff. But no, I actually did like man on the street interviews and stuff that I produced, one on the air, so like I was fortunate, but I'd heard about some people who literally all they did was just grunt work. And it's like, I understand starting at the bottom, but you got to be at least exposed to something. So good call.
Bill made me wash his car every Friday when I was an intern here.
That's because he was too short to reach the hood.
Favorite intern stories from a TV buddy of mine who shall remain nameless. Working as an intern at an SEC school and was around a play-by-play announcer at an SEC school who asked him to go get him some napkins because he was eating.
Wow.
That one is one that sticks. That's that big a deal, right?
Yeah.
Somebody that's beside you to grab you a napkin or something. But I think it was the way that it was asked and the fact that it never would have been reciprocated, or you could have been like, hey man, can you grab me some napkins too?
Mm-hmm.
It's not the way the relationship goes.
Nice.
That one sticks out to me. Grab, hey, give me some napkins. That was might have been the extent of the responsibilities too in the internship, which also might have been rough. 803-404-6100, the number into the program. Let you hear a little bit from Mark Kingston when we come back. 9-5, the score last night. Gamecock baseball over the Citadel. A little misleading because it was 9-0 with 1 out to go there in the top of the ninth when the Citadel ended up getting a 2-run and a 3-run homer, make that score a lot more respectable than it would have been. Jack Mahoney, 7 2/3 shutout innings on the mound for the Gamecocks. A grand slam from Noah Myers. Big games from Brady Allen, Wes Clark, Braylon Wimmer as well. Carolina going to Ole Miss this weekend. 4 SEC series left in the season, and they're all going to be big to see where Carolina ends up finishing this year and what position they can put themselves in the postseason. More on that when we come back. 803-404-6100. Again, the number to get in the show. You can call or text. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
To the home of the Gamecocks, WNKT and Eastover on 107.5 The Game.
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com.
Mark, we do that around here. Make Jen unnecessarily angry. Bill does it, mostly on the air. And Mark with a C, how are you that negative about a 9-5 win over the Citadel on a Tuesday night, man? Pretty easy. One pitcher, left a couple pitches up. Citadel hit 2 home runs. I mean, the bullpen that bad.
Wow. Ole Miss has lost 4 straight series.
Ole Miss has lost 4 straight. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I know they lost to Mississippi State 2 out of 3. They just lost to LSU 2 out of 3, right?
They've lost 4 straight SEC series. Yeah, Florida, Arkansas, Mississippi State, LSU. They've just taken 1 out of all those series.
Right. Amongst the 4 best programs in the country, though.
Yeah.
And that's why they're still, I think they're 15th in RPI.
Yeah, I thought they were within the top 10, and I saw just on the South Carolina website where they're scheduled, it says number 19 Ole Miss, which is not right, but I don't know.
It's not D1baseball.com?
Is that where they're at? On the NCAA website, they're at 12.
You mean RPI?
Yes, so, yeah. Where are they in D1 baseball?
I mean, there's 6 different baseball polls at least, so there's numbers.
Yeah, so they're probably 19 and something. What would the South Carolina website use?
D1baseball.com, I'm thinking. But maybe they use the same one that they used for Carolina. What are they listing Carolina as? 11 or 12?
I don't even see it on. I don't see it on. I'm just looking at the schedule. I don't see our ranking on there.
Yeah, I think Carolina dropped 1 in D1baseball.com.
Yeah, that's probably, that has to be what it is because Ole Miss is 19 there. We're 13.
I mean, it just shows you the respect for the league, right? And who they played.
Yeah. TCU, top 5.
TCU and Texas in there?
Yeah. Texas Tech, number 11.
So it's the SEC and Texas, basically, in college baseball these days.
Notre Dame is number 8 in the country. I did not know they had a good baseball program.
Who's the guy they had that played receiver for them and pitched, made it to the big leagues? I think he might still be with the Cubs. His name.
Was he good?
Yeah, really good.
Football?
Yeah, really good. I'll do it. Cubs pitcher, Notre Dame.
Cubs pitcher? Jeff Samardzija?
Yeah, Samardzija.
He played football?
2-time All-American wide receiver. Not bad.
At Notre Dame?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Nice work. Mark, Craig. Yeah, they're all over it.
no one was remotely close. Just spelling it right, but I know exactly what it means.
Yeah, Samardzija. Spelling stuff. All right, Jen, let's do the Wes Clark and Brady Allen sound from Kingston, please.
Okay. Straight in or after a liner?
I'll go ahead and read the liner, get that out of the way, and change the audio on the stream. So actually, I already did one of those, so let's not do the liner. Straight on in, please. Just dump that music out pretty quick, please.
Okay.
No, I hadn't heard about that Mac Brown. We'll read it on the show there, Craig. Was that at North Carolina? Or was that at Texas? Is my question.
What?
Mac Brown.
What about him?
The story there from Craig that he was less than a mile from campus. Yep, I see it now. It just came out. The story.
Our offense, you know, it starts with Brady Allen and Wes Clark. When they're going well, it seems like everything kind of falls into place behind them. They both were tremendous tonight. Brady was on base 4 times. Clark was on base 5 times. And, you know, I thought when they're going well and other guys, you know, are following suit, we have a chance to be really good. And we want our offense to match our pitching in terms of the level that it's performing.
5 up.
Continue to look for ways to try to help them. And tonight obviously was a good night for us.
Mark Kingston, after last night's 9-5 win, all 5 of those runs for the Citadel coming in the top of the ninth. So a pretty dominating performance overall for Carolina. And like he talked about, Brady Allen, 4 for 5 with a couple RBIs. He added an insurance home run there that turned out to be make things much more comfortable for Carolina after the Citadel hit a couple of home runs there in the ninth. So 4 for 5 with a couple of RBIs, what Brady Allen did. 3 for 3 with 2 walks and 3 runs scored, where Wes Clark is snapping out of a bit of a slump for sure. And Gamecock fans hope that can continue this weekend at Ole Miss. You can throw Braylon Wimmer in that mix as well. He was 2 for 4 last night with 3 RBIs. And then the big knock was from a guy who hasn't gotten in the lineup very often. So you combine all of those things, and that's what helps you get 9 runs real quick. It was Noah Myers with a grand slam, helping the Gamecocks win convincingly. When you do it against the Citadel on a Tuesday night, you don't get a ton of credit. The Citadel struggling this year, now 11-25 overall. But South Carolina taking care of business last night, Patrick.
Yeah, you feel good about that. Because I was just – you need that going into a big road series against a good team, but that's what I've been looking at. I guess Ole Miss isn't as – I feel like when we talked about them a couple weeks ago, it was only like 2 weeks ago they're in the top 5, right?
Yep.
And things have plummeted quickly. They've lost 4 straight SEC series. So I don't know if you think about the do theory where they got to win a series at some point, or you got them while they're down, but you definitely want to have a dominating win coming off that. And please, let's score some runs on Friday night for once.
When you say Ole Miss has dropped 4 straight series, and then I look at their RPI at 15 in the country, I think, and they're still ranked in top 25 polls, it shows you the reputation of the SEC and also just those 4 opponents. You want to go through those? So they had just over the weekend, they lost 2 out of 3 to LSU. Before then, it was the huge in-state series with more than 10,000 people on hand over in Starkville at Mississippi State, where they dropped 2 out of 3. But I think they had a dominating win in game 2 there, like 9-0 or something.
9-0, yeah.
And then the previous 2 series, Florida and who else? Vandy?
They took game 2 against Florida, but lost the other 2, and then it was that big series where they like broke those attendance records when Arkansas came to Oxford, and Arkansas took 2 or 3 there too.
Sorry, wrong number 1 team in the country in the SEC. I picked there with Arkansas. So you drop 2 out of 3 to a team like Arkansas or Florida or Mississippi State this year. It's not going to hurt you in the rankings. But where LSU is now, I mean, where LSU isn't quite that this year for sure, but where Ole Miss has put itself in now is a disturbing trend for them. And I would think if you're Carolina coach Mark Kingston and company going to Oxford, you're fine with that. They're a good baseball team, but they haven't figured out ways to win SEC series. The exact opposite of what the Gamecocks were in that 4 straight series stretch, where they won all 4 series, starting with that Florida sweep, and then they dropped the first game of 3 straight series, came back to win the rest of them, the next 2 games in all 3 of those series, except for the Arkansas series most recently. So now trying to get back on the winning track, I think, will be very important. Obviously, Mississippi State due up next, then it's Kentucky and Tennessee to end the year. And how Carolina does it may be a little less important this year than in years past, because the NCAA is putting out, because of COVID issues and protocols and the whole thing, they're going to go ahead and decide regional and super regional sites early on. I think, May 10th is the date, something like that. So just a couple of weeks away. So maybe a little less important how you finish this year than opposed to years past, but not from an on-the-field momentum standpoint. Yeah. And Carolina getting some of that last night. I think specifically, you mentioned putting up 9 runs. That's always good, and they do 8 of those 9 runs by the home run last night. But I think just as big as that, if not bigger, is getting a start from a freshman in Jack Mahoney, who goes 7 2/3 shutout innings, giving him a bunch of confidence both in the starting role, and I think we'll have plenty of confidence coming out of the bullpen where he'll be used in SEC series. I would imagine probably not available until Sunday. He hasn't pitched a bunch on the weekends lately. They like him in this starting role in the midweek, so it'll be interesting to see how he's used, if at all, this weekend in Oxford after going 7 2/3 last night.
So, fun fact, South Carolina's last game 1 win in a series was that 14-inner against Florida, right?
Yep, you got it. 14
yes,
game.
so that was March 26th. Ole Miss's last game 1 win in the SEC series, same day, March 26th, against Alabama.
All right, so
something's got to give.
Right,
I don't think they're going to tie.
And Thomas Farr with a good outing last time out against Arkansas, career-long 7 innings, so trending in the right direction there. We'll see how it goes for Gamecock baseball. Last night, 5-0, Braves a winner against the Chicago Cubs. It was Mark who wanted us to mention that, as Jen shakes her head and just
thanks, dude.
Angry.
Lost 4 in a row.
481 feet, I think, is the number, with Ronald Acuna's blast to left field, where
Impressive.
his teammates are just in the dugout just shaking their head. This guy is on a different planet right now, Ronald Acuna Jr. And I know Braves fans happy to see the offense bounce back in the last couple of games. Sorry to do it against your Cubs. I don't think they're sorry, actually. But it was a combined 1 hit in the doubleheader on Sunday against the Diamondbacks that had the most dramatic Braves fans ultra concerned about this team for the year. Again, it's Major League Baseball. You got to take it at a slower pace. Things will shake out. I don't think there's any reason to overreact or to jump to any kind of season-long conclusions until about halfway through the season at the All-Star break, especially when you got a guy, and Mike Sirocco still coming back from that Achilles deal, who was the ace going into last year, and Ian Anderson looks like he might be turning into the ace. He's the guy who did most of the damage on the mound last night for the Atlanta Braves. We'll switch gears, talk some football when we come back, but we'll let you hear a little bit more from Mark Kingston as we roll on this morning. Interesting. I thought this was going to be a good boss, bad boss kind of story. It kind of is, with North Carolina football coach Mack Brown with it. Looks like to me a pretty genius move that Craig gave us a heads up on here this morning. Give you details on that and as it pertains to college football recruiting. You're listening to the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game. The Game is everywhere. On the air, online, on your phone or tablet, on the app, Alexa, in the shower.
Yeah, Craig, I know he was staying there temporarily, and it's right near Williams-Brice, not even the one campus. Oh, sorry, this is a condo thing. Yeah, that one. So I'm sure there's the option to do it. NCAA rules wise.
Where'd Spurrier live? Lake Murray?
No, out in the Northeast.
On the golf course?
Yeah. A bunch of them did. It was what is that area called? Let's say Wood Creek, but that doesn't sound right. And I think Beamer stayed pretty close to in town.
Yeah, I would want to.
Not a Lake Murray guy like Muschamp.
Yeah. It's a much longer commute for the lake.
Yeah, Wood Creek.
Do any coaches ever just sell their houses to the next head coach at a school? Has that happened? That's what happened, right?
I don't know about head coaches. I'm sure it has, but I know Shane Beamer said he lived in Will Friend's house, I think. I think that's what it was. Maybe I'm getting that mistaken, but that was like their connection.
It feels like all these coaches know each other. I would think they would just have a little network of selling each other's houses to
the
next guy that takes their job. Just have like a deal where you sell it like below market value and just kind of keep them moving.
Alan says the truck on 77 is not on fire anymore. Jim? Alan's all over.
Nice.
Jim's actually doing a traffic update right now. Trying to read this more details about the Mac Brown thing. Oh, unofficial visits. Brilliant.
Better be a nice house.
Jen, did you hear what I said? Alan hit us up and said that truck on 77 is not on fire anymore.
I was just actually re-recording that. Thank you.
Oh.
I appreciate that.
Thank
That's what I
Alan.
was doing.
I'm just reading.
No, you're good.
Nice work, Alan.
That's why I didn't hear you. Apparently it's off to the side. That's good news.
Yes, it is.
Alan's
Have
about
you
to
seen
call
that the draft starts at 8 or coverage starts at 8?
Coverage, I'm sure we won't get it until 8:30, and I'm fully prepared to be going until about midnight on Thursday night.
I was talking to my dad about it yesterday, and it's just incredibly annoying. I think the most annoying thing about the draft is how they're going to put the Jaguars in the clock, and they're going to take all of their time.
Yep. Well, I think from the marketing standpoint, makes sense, right? You get your logo up, they're talking about you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Why would you give that time away? It's worth however many millions dollars that a commercial would be worth or whatever. Yeah, it is so
Very
annoying.
annoying.
Be a great start to the draft. All right, the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock, and here's their pick. It's Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
And we move
And
on.
while I'm up here, the Jets are taking Zach Wilson. All right, 49ers on the clock. Please. I mean, the ratings have to just be terrible not terrible, and if everything's relative to NFL, they have to know that the ratings just plummet once you hit like the 20s and it's 11 p.m., 11:30 p.m. I don't know why they don't just either start it earlier or just keep it moving.
Oh, wow. The first one that I've seen anyway, overt Clemson text in from our worst texter. Check it out, Patrick. That should make you Oh, I think he's finally cracked.
Uh-oh.
Oh, look who's back. Nice and early.
Oh,
That was
quick. It was one of my better runs, right in about 34 minutes.
approximately 34.
Approximately 34. So yeah, not bad.
What?
It's a quick morning when you wake up 2 minutes before the start of the show.
Jen, let's do the actual Grand Slam and then Kingston talking about it. Cool? Or do we just have the actual Grand Slam and not Kingston talking about it?
Correct. Yeah.
All right, let's do Kingston on Jack Mahoney then, please.
Okay.
Really good command and control. Only had the 6 strikeouts, but he got a lot of early contact because his fastball has a lot of movement and got a lot of quick outs, and just really got in a great rhythm. And yeah, the plan was to have him pitch like a starter, and we haven't used him much on the weekends. So the plan was to not only for the short term have him help us win this game tonight, but also for the long term continue to develop and get for what it's like to be a big time starter.
Carolina baseball coach Mark Kingston there also went on to mention, as the 4th starter, certainly could be valuable if you go in a deep postseason run. He was only kind of admitted that when asked about postseason implications. He didn't want to talk too much about the postseason because he's a bit of a superstitious baseball coach, is what I gathered after that. But solid outing, more than a solid outing, 7 2/3 scoreless, and then again, if you look at the box score and you see 9-5, you might not be that impressed, but Carolina 1 out away from a 9-0 shutout last night, largely due to Mahoney going 7 2/3 innings with shutout ball, giving up 5 hits, I think 6 strikeouts, something like that. The numbers for the freshman, who has been impressive both as in a starting role and now out of the bullpen as well. Ole Miss up this weekend for Gamecock baseball. Craig alerted us to this, and I think maybe it has to do some with the good boss, bad boss stories that kind of asking for out there because of NFL owners going to be meddling at an all-time level here in the next few days with the NFL draft kicking off tomorrow night. Mack Brown, I think, has always been looked at as a good boss in college football, and a especially good recruiter is where he made his reputation, especially at North Carolina the first time around, then continued at Texas with a national championship, and now making another savvy move. Bill, did you see this? 0.98 miles is where Mack Brown's house is from the University of North Carolina campus. Why do we know this, and why do we care? Because apparently there is an NCAA rule that says if a coach lives less than a mile from campus, they can host recruits on unofficial visits in their house. And Brown recently admitting that, yeah, he thinks this is going to help them in recruiting. This is going to be the new trend in college football, isn't it, Bill? Why wouldn't you do this?
I mean, I don't know what exactly the advantage of is it. You can meet with them when they're on. You can't meet with them at all right now when they're on campus. But if it's an unofficial visit, you know, you can still talk to them and meet with them when the rules open back up on June 1. You know, does it factor in? I guess they can come over for some home cooking. Maybe that's it. Maybe they can come hang out at the house. Maybe he's got a game room there that's unrivaled. Look, Mack Brown's probably given his circumstances with North Carolina, who attracts a lot of things. You look at what Mack Brown did at Texas. You look at what he did at North Carolina prior to going to Texas. Probably one of the top recruiters, if not the top recruiter in the ACC. And I think a lot of coaches in the ACC have followed kind of Mack's path to being able to go and recruit. If he puts a bunch of wins together and actually wins an ACC, he could be really, really tough to deal with. Although I don't know if he'll be able to do it in the time frame that I think he's got. But I guess it's an advantage. I'm not real sure. I mean, you're talking about an unofficial visit.
Yeah, that's the advantage.
Yeah.
They can basically just come hang out at his house.
What I'm saying is, on an unofficial visit, typically there's a lot of things that kids are trying to learn as opposed to an official visit where your time frame is a little bit different. The kind of the strategy is different. So I guess it helps. I'm not sure because again, you can do a lot of the same thing. How great is his house? Is it a what kind of house are we talking here?
Well, you're kind of limited when it's 1 mile from campus, you said?
Yeah, 0.98
0.98.
Also, what is is that like from the closest edge of his property line to the closest edge of campus? Because
that is a great
I mean,
question.
that's like 100 feet, right? And what is like South Carolina's campus is so oddly kind of interdispersed throughout the city that what are we talking about? Are we talking about from like the student union or the football stadium? I feel like there's a lot of leeway with these rules.
It's kind of like golf where you check the yardage marker in the fairway and I think what is it to the center of the green or the front of the green? I forget whatever it is.
Mac Brown could have like bought a shed or something right next to his house and said this is the new like admissions office or something like that and just donated it to the school.
Mac Brown get out of his golf cart at practice, put the old goggles up, check out his house. Yep, 0.98. We're good.
He's got the yardage marker that you use in golf, and like he's got a little tower at his house. Like that's a good question about Patrick. Is it the edge of campus? Is it the middle of campus? I mean, I guess it's the edge. That would make the most sense. But
you could just donate a brick or something, and that would officially be campus.
Extend the campus.
I don't know. Yeah, there's just ways to get around this.
I'm sure there are other campuses and coaches out there that have kind of taken advantage of this rule. Like, for instance, I'm guessing that's probably one of the reasons why it's always been here recently, it's been part of the football coach's contract in South Carolina that they have a condo right there near Williams-Brice Stadium that you can continue to have contact with off-campus or unofficial recruits there within a mile from campus. Now, that's anywhere within that mile. It's just interesting that Mac Brown has the house now and can continue giving the pitch. I'm guessing if you come on over. And the unofficial visits, Bill, the deal is there that there's no limit on those things. To me, that's where you can continue to have guys over and further the relationship where the advantage is.
Well, maybe I don't think it's the player as much as maybe the family member. You can get mama in your home, and it's a more relaxed setting than say having her in your office. I don't think that. I really don't. Just based on the millions of interviews that I've ever done with recruits, I don't think that going to the house, with mom and dad is necessarily going to make a huge adjustment. I guess what you do here is that Mac Brown and his wife have a certain any recruit over for dinner. But again, I don't know exactly what the rules are on the head coach's wife or the head coach ordering pizza. I feel like that's probably a violation if you order a pizza and you give them a slice.
Would love to have you guys over for meatloaf. It's going to cost you $8.48.
Yeah,
that's how we have to.
Or just hey, I've got a 43-incher at my house. I can guarantee you my son if you let me watch Monday Night Football at your place this year.
Yeah,
I guarantee you, Max got like a projector, a very nice setup.
Maybe I don't. But I think that's part of it. I just there's a lot that goes into those visits, and like I said, normally on an unofficial visit, depending on where you live, you're trying to get into town, you want to check out the campus, you want to check out the facilities. Maybe you're going over to the coach's house for an hour. I don't know how much that I read in this. It's a neat little plan. I don't know, but
parking on campus is tough. You just park in Mac's driveway, and they'll golf cart you over.
That's true. Sends the golf cart over,
yeah.
And Again, I think South Carolina got in trouble for that one time with golf cart rides that were
impermissible golf cart rides.
What was it, Tim? Do you remember this? Do you remember the golf cart rides? I think this was during the Holtz era, maybe.
Is that with the Whitney Hotel investigation kind of deal back in the day? I do not remember the golf cart rides being a big deal. Robert, he's using his creativity this morning on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Pretty sure from the sounds of it, old Mackie Brown bought a frat house, old school style. Yeah. Since he's the old guy, is his nickname Blue? And it is at North Carolina, too. I would much prefer him go by Cheese. That would be impressive.
That would be, yeah.
The Godfather.
I was trying to Jeremy Piven come wandering in next week and be like, this has been rezoned or redesignated.
If he's going streaking to the quad, I don't think that will help anybody in recruiting on that one for sure. 803-404-6100, the number in the program if you would like to weigh in. We got good boss, bad boss stories with the owners meddling in the NFL draft. More on that as we roll on. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
It's a new year.
They're hungry. They're driven.
Attitude.
I want guys that want to be here, not just going out there to hire some guy that has a famous last name.
It's not some retreads. We're a bunch of guys that I think are ready to prove to people that we can do some special things here.
New attitude.
This is it. There's no other job I would have left for, but to be right here. The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5.
Craig. I don't think Craig's getting the invite for the live stream. Be on the video.
No invite. Craig's left out. I feel bad. You get left out. Gonna feel like the uncool kid in school.
He's earned the reputation to cross the line here. So, yeah, we're going to do the live stream tomorrow night at 8. We'll have those of you we can trust to pop up on the video on with us, man. If you want to be on, let us know.
Yeah.
We'll send you a link. What are you saying, Bill?
Hold on. I'm going to show you. Yeah.
Craig, that guy. What did I do?
Very importantly, I got went and bought a fresh new bottle yesterday. Crown Peak.
Nice.
And I'm trying this. Let's see if you can see it. Wilderness Trail. I tried it yesterday. I can't say that I was all that thrilled with it.
Excellent. Mark, it's through what we're doing. You don't need anything. You just need a phone, really. We'll send you a link. Good. DC, I hear you. I hear you. Looks like we're definitely going to have to adjust here.
You need to have takes if you're coming on.
I'm thinking about cracking this open this weekend for my birthday. The Crown Royal Noble Collection. French oak cask finish. I've had it for a year. Somebody gave it to me as a housewarming gift, and I just, because it says limited release, I was like, man, I've got to save that for a special occasion.
Yeah, no kidding, Mark. Now he's really feeling confident in your party at your house.
Here, I'll show you another bottle. Tim, you drink vodka. You drink a little bit of vodka, don't you?
Uh-huh.
I bought this yesterday. And I really only bought it because of the bottle. I don't think it's very good vodka, would understand, but it's called Ocean Organic Vodka, but I really like the bottle. So I wanted the bottle in the cabinet.
Never heard of it. Looks good, though.
Yeah, it's supposed to be all right.
So what's in an old fashioned? It's what's the
bitters?
That's what it is.
Bitters.
And is it like a cherry or something too they throw in there?
You can put a cherry in there and just like orange peel,
that's what I was thinking.
Rub the rim with it.
Right.
I don't like them. I've been making them, and I'm not a fan.
I think I had one when I was watching Mad Men. I was like, it's all right, but I'm not going to all the trouble to make this. I'm just not that fancy.
I've tried a couple of them. I did a proper 12 old fashioned, which I actually liked a little bit better than regular bourbon.
Have you ever had a smoked? Have you ever had a smoked old fashioned?
No, I don't like them to begin with. I don't think I'm ever going to be an old fashioned guy.
They do at that chain seafood place, Bonefish. They'll do a smoked old fashioned. It's pretty good.
Very hard to find sugar cubes. I couldn't find sugar cubes anywhere for my old fashioned.
Yeah, about to head back in.
Let's do the Grand Slam stuff, please.
Okay.
The question is, Patrick, are you going to make a mint julep for the weekend? Will you at least do 1 or 2 mint juleps for the
I hate
derby?
them. No, I think they're gross.
They're awful. We're going to talk to Kerry Tharp about that. I blame him. He's a Kentucky guy.
Yeah, there you go.
High drive towards left field. That ball is going to be gone. It is out of here. It is a grand slam home run by Noah Myers. Well, make him 2 for 13 for the season. And, buddy, he got his money's worth that time. How about Noah Myers?
Obviously a big hit for him and for us. See him. Great to see great kids get rewarded like that.
Interesting night last night for Gamecock baseball. 9-0 with 1 out left. Ends up a 9-5 final score win over the Citadel. And you got the big grand slam from Noah Myers there, who hasn't gotten a lot of action. The Gamecocks kind of shuffling the lineup a little bit. Banged up behind the plate is Colin Burgess, so he had the night off. That brought Wes Clark in to catch and opened up a DH role for Josiah Seitler, who's battling a groin injury. That opened up the spot for Noah Myers at center, obviously taking advantage of that. That was his only hit on the ball game. It was the other guys in the lineup. Brady Allen also hit a home run, a 2-run shot there in the 8th, but 4 for 5 on the ball game was Brady Allen. And then Wes Clark snapping out a bit of a slump, or not a bit of a slump, at what has been a pretty large slump since a torrid start there. Clark 3 for 3, couple of walks, so on base all 5 times. Braylon Wimmer 2 for 4 with 3 RBI in the ball game. If you want to know the scope of this show, then all you got to look on is the live chat on the Facebook live stream. Bill, have you mixed Crown Royal Peach and sweet tea yet? DC asks.
I haven't.
That sounds like the worst hangover of all time.
Yeah, that's awfully sweet.
That much sugar to mix with? No thanks.
So during the commercial break, Bill showed off some of the decorations around his house, and that brought up that particular questions from DC. Wanted to let you guys know about 36 hours from now, we'll be doing the live stream of the NFL draft, and love to have you guys. YouTube, Facebook Live, the usual deal, just like we do live streaming the show. We'll be doing it. Will not be on the air for radio. We'll be strictly on the internet. So we're going to call it 107.5 The Bar. It's taken over. We'll love to have you there. If you are interested in joining us on the video stream, just send me an email, tim.hill@cumulus.com. Got the graphic up. Going to have some fun tomorrow night. I don't know if Patrick's going to make it, though, at this point. Are you going to be able to rally? I'm really disappointed this morning and not feeling so well, and the headache. And
it's turning around. It's turning around. We're 2 cups of coffee in, and I think we're good to go.
All right. This is good news.
And I don't have to wake up on Friday morning.
I was going to say, I think you should be more worried about Friday morning.
Well, I am doing 12 to 4 on Friday.
Oh.
So my turnaround is actually going to be easier than you guys.
Yeah, you'll be in great shape for sure. Chad says, yes, I love this. Again, just send me an email if you want to pop on. We can have 10 people on at a time. We'll see how that goes. Clemson Sean's already admitted, since he's seen some of the decorations around Bill's house, that he needs a drink here. Robert's saying, there's Bill finding his alcohol, yet here I am making a grilled cheese and trying to find the biggest cup for chocolate milk. Maybe I need to change my priorities. Well, maybe that live stream will fit in a little bit better at 8 p.m. Tomorrow night. It should be interesting for sure. We'll see if it goes well. Hey, maybe we'll do the Friday night thing too as well. Patrick said that's his night.
Yeah, I wish we could just do. I wish that was like the night that everyone cared about the most. Just
the
twice
second
as
and
many
third
picks.
rounds.
Yeah. No one cares about those first round picks that have the best players involved. Just you guys, what do you do? Fast forward to the
But that's where I like to flex my knowledge, because like everyone's gonna know the first rounders, but once you get to days 2,
45,
that's where.
So this is show off time.
Where he makes
Yeah, I mean, I learned things, and I want to be able to say them. I want to be able to
Bill
show
has
what I know.
never said that sentence in his life.
Nah, I'm
30.
I'm humble. Yes.
That's what I like. My
Yeah.
favorite thing is on day 2 and 3 when I'll get random texts from my friends and say, "What do you know about this guy?" Because their team just took him and they never heard of him. I can flex my knowledge.
Okay, so what we're going to do in hour number 3 is test that flex. We get Patrick. I think he's on the upswing. We'll see what kind of knowledge he has and test that second and third round mock draft knowledge as we roll into hour number 3 here on the early game.
KTFM Eastover Columbia. Total coverage right here. 107.5 The Game.
Cumulus Station.
Pointless to me.
I agree, Robert. I agree. Strange flex.
Got a bottle of tequila too. We bought 3 Amigos. I just wanted to buy a bottle. I just wanted a decent bottle of tequila for shots.
That sounds
All right.
really good right now.
Of course, Craig's in. Can't trust you, Craig.
It says this margarita ready tequila. So maybe that's more. Maybe this is more of a margarita tequila. I thought they were all margarita tequilas.
They are.
Trey, good stuff. Get an email from a friend named Gil Bunter. I know nothing about that. Yep, email received, Craig, and ignored. Morning, Hope.
What kind of
now-
cigars?
Now you're getting in his wheelhouse.
I got a
Feel like-
bunch. I don't.
This is going to be the complete live stream tomorrow night, and it will be like, oh yeah, and there was a huge trade at pick number 3 by the San Francisco 49ers. Let's get back to cigars.
Right.
Let's see here. I'll show you what we got.
Oh, boy.
Here we go.
See what Bill needs.
Well, this is the point of the live stream, right? This is the point of the live stream is to. So I redid this when I moved in. It was a gun rack, and I don't really care for. I'm not a gun person, or.
Oh wow.
So you can see. There's the cigars down there, and there's that. I probably shouldn't
That's
be doing this on the
pretty
live
darn
stream. Let's see if we can, without breaking anything.
So you're balancing the laptop now with one hand.
Yeah.
Camera work.
Impressive.
Impressive stairs. You've, moved away. Not sure what you're showing us here. Now, yeah, you gotta tilt down. There it is.
So yeah, we got plenty.
Got your email,
Yeah,
Sonny.
Good. We got a lot going on.
Nice.
Nice. So, are you promising the people a cigar will be smoked tomorrow night?
What I'll probably try and do, since we don't have to use the radio equipment, is the problem. I never got back in touch with that really nice guy, Autry. Steven, I think was his name, to put the lights out on the patio, and so it's a little dark out there. So, but if I can figure out a way to get some lights out there, I'll have a cigar out there. I don't smoke in my house.
Good call.
Yeah,
Well,
even if
Larry-
I open the doors, even if
You
I
see
open
the
the doors right here, I want to do that.
You see the text line, Patrick?
Yeah.
That's good stuff. AJ sent in a picture of somebody kissing the Godfather's ring and said, Patrick entertaining guests on days 2 and 3 of the NFL draft.
One of my friends still talks about how I texted him in the 3rd round when the Lions drafted a wide receiver. I said, dude, this kid's going to start from you day 1. And it was Kenny Galladay. I was a big Kenny Galladay guy.
Nice.
That was one of my big hits in my short history.
Let's see. Jason says he sent an email, but I haven't got his. Let's see if it popped in the junk. Yep, Jason, you're a junk email guy. Thanks for the heads up there. I will change it to not junk.
What makes someone go straight to junk email?
Got me. Maybe. Let's see. Jason's email address is it's a Yahoo address. I don't know. The other guys, we got Gmail from everybody else went straight through. So apparently it's an anti-Yahoo thing on my email.
It's just wrong.
So I will set this live stream up after we get done with this morning's live stream. So you should be getting a link a little later on this morning. Oh, nice, Patrick. I see what you're doing there.
Well, I'm trying to see. I want it to be like, I don't know. I guess you can look at it too once it's done. I want it to be nicely formatted, but it's all just typing in a straight line when you make the banners on here, so it's hard to know what it's going to come out like.
Yeah, but you kind of play with it a little. Yes, Clemson, Sean. It is way too early.
Yeah, even I agree with that.
You need to get some sort of maybe smoothie going in your life to balance out.
Yeah.
So Chad is fully confident he's going to be in person with you. That's like news to you. Interesting.
All news. I learn so much each and every morning. I was thinking about trying to go play golf tomorrow too. That was kind of on my agenda, but I don't know.
That was going to be worthless if he plays golf.
No, I've been all right.
It is a Wednesday during April. Good point, Jason.
Yeah, I don't start during the week until 4:30 or 5 o'clock. Saturdays and Sundays are a little bit different. Saturdays and Sundays have been a little bit different. Being at the beach this weekend. Oh, I need to check. I need to check the water temperature down in Myrtle Beach. A daily checking of the water temperature to see if it rose. Nope, still at 65. I guess my kids will be happy to hop in it. Hey, who sent us that stuff about the sea worms and stuff? Who sent us that?
I forget. Somebody on the live stream.
Heading back in. Yeah, they're pretty gross looking though.
But I think I don't think they're in the tide. I don't think they're in the tides. I think they're like in the inlets where, yeah, Bill, I was reading. I don't think if I read correctly, they're not in the tides on the beach. They're in inlets where you would say jump off of a dock, if I read that correctly. I'm not going to be.
I'll just mute him. That's the easy way to do it.
For better or worse, it's the early game with Tim and Bill on 107.5 The Game.
Mahoney was outstanding on the mound. He attacked the strike zone, had really good command and control. Only had the 6 strikeouts, but he got a lot of early contact because his fastball has a lot of movement and got a lot of quick outs, and just really got in a great rhythm. And yeah, the plan was to have him pitch like a starter, and we haven't used him much on the weekends. So the plan was to not only for the short term have him help us win this game, also for the long term continue to develop and get a really good feel for what it's like to be a big time starter.
Gamecock baseball coach Mark Kingston, after the 9-5 win last night over the Citadel, Carolina, an out away from a 9-0 shutout, and then the Citadel adds a handful of runs there, so the final score not quite indicative of how it went down, with 7 2/3 shutout innings from the freshman Jack Mahoney. Impressive, and adding, I think, some more depth, or adding some confidence to the pitching depth that the Gamecocks already have. Don't want to make too much over a midweek win against a Citadel team that's now 11-25, But confidence this time of year is always a good thing. And Patrick's looked up this morning. Ole Miss is where Carolina is headed to this weekend, and a good baseball team, no doubt. Still ranked in the top 25, even after they've lost their last 4 series now in the SEC. Dropped 2 out of 3, 4 series in a row, but to really good baseball programs like the Arkansas one we just saw in Columbia over the weekend, Florida, LSU, and Mississippi State, the 4 teams that have taken 2 out of 3 against Ole Miss in the last 4 consecutive weeks. To me, it shows, guys, how small the margin of error is in the SEC, and is a reminder of how important it is to win series, to win games when you have a chance to do it. Carolina has done that by and large, winning, I guess it's 4 of 6 series this year, dropping only to Vandy to start, and then Arkansas this past weekend. Getting back on the winning track at Ole Miss would certainly go a long ways into kind of further solidifying the Gamecocks as a regional host. Do you agree there, Bill?
Winning last night is big because you have to win the midweek games. I don't care if it's against Citadel or North Carolina or Clemson coming up here in a week and a half. You got to win the midweek games because typically those are against lesser opponents. We've seen years past where South Carolina has been okay on the weekends but struggled during the weeknights. And I think it just helps you solidifying your case for regionals, maybe a super regional. And as you were talking about while I was gone, this year's a little bit different because on May 10th, on Monday, May 10th, a week from next Monday, they're going to announce, I believe, both the regional and the super regional sites. So if you think about it, your time is really starting to run thin here. You win last night, which doesn't hurt you. I don't for a second think that the committee's looking at it and going, oh, they beat Citadel, bump them up a little bit, but you win that one. That doesn't hurt your RPI, doesn't hurt your record, so that's good. You got this series this weekend, which, quite honestly, if they win this weekend series, it would be kind of interesting given Founders Park, and that I think if you win this weekend series, you could jump into the top 10, and South Carolina's knowledge of hosting a super regional, maybe it bumps you ahead of, say, a Tennessee, and you get in there with a Mississippi State, a Vanderbilt, and an Arkansas as the 4 teams from the SEC who maybe get a super regional. I mean, you can't think for a second the SEC is going to get 5 or 6 super regionals. But guys, you win this weekend series. Certainly, you've got one more next weekend against Mississippi State. I don't know when the committee will get together and really finalize everything. Maybe it'll be on Sunday night, May the 9th, on Mother's Day. But I would think going into next weekend, they're going to have everything pretty well in place for what they want to do.
Well, I think you got to win both series to really make a strong case to be a super regional host. I think you win one of these next 2 series, and I think you're good to go as far as a regional host. But what you were talking about there, Bill, I think is what it comes down to. You're not just trying to be one of the top 8 teams in the country. You're also having to compete within the conference for SEC sites. And right now, you got to figure Arkansas and Vanderbilt are pretty locked up, right? So 2 automatic ones is how I see it in the SEC. But outside of that, they're not automatic, but Tennessee is looking really good right now, ranked 4th in the country. Mississippi State ranked 6th in the country, going just off the D1 baseball poll. Probably should look at just RPIs, might be the better way to do this. I know the Gamecocks sitting at 10 in the RPI, so that's why we say right now, certainly in the conversation. I think that history does help Carolina. This is the anti-NCAA basketball tournament approach, right? Gamecock baseball and its track record does give them the benefit of the doubt in these kinds of situations, I think. Having been really good for college baseball through the years, having that track record and having the tremendous venue of Founders Park. So, yeah, it's going to be wildly interested to see, because Patrick, you were looking through the kind of the national rankings earlier as well, and it's basically the SEC and Texas at the top. You got Louisville and Notre Dame as well, 7 and number 8 right now in the country. Oregon is the only program outside of the Southeast and Notre Dame, like I mentioned, that seems to be in Texas, I should say, that seems to be in the mix right now for a super regional spot. So how the NCAA decides to end up divvying things out. Going to be really interesting to see, especially this year, knowing they have to do it a little bit before the season is over with kind of incomplete information on the entire season. So, and Bill, I feel like the ACC is not quite where it has been in years past as well. So from that standpoint, I think the SEC will get a couple of more host sites than maybe it's had in the past, where it's been a lot easier for a committee to kind of line up an ACC regional winner with an SEC regional winner to meet in the super regionals. That's going to be the really interesting part about this bracket coming out in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, again, they do say that that there is a merit-based system here, so what you do on the field does matter. But I don't think they've also been very shy about saying there's some elements to knowing how to host and I guess some other things that are outside of just playing the game of baseball, winning baseball games, that'll come into hosting super regionals. I think South Carolina, barring a complete collapse over the next 2 weeks, will host a regional. They're in a great spot right now. And this is where South Carolina baseball is accustomed, or was accustomed to being. Again, we kind of brought it up maybe a week or two ago. This is one of the longer droughts without going to a College World Series in the last 40 years for South Carolina. And, but this is where South Carolina baseball was accustomed to being, right there on the cusp, fighting for a super regional. We've seen them go to Omaha through going to Myrtle Beach, to Coastal. We've seen them host here and go to a go to the College World Series. But this is where we expect South Carolina baseball to be. And so it's a good place. I think they'll continue to hold up this weekend. Certainly the big series you talked about. I heard Patrick with the fun fact, Mississippi has not won a game on Friday night, or the opening game of a series, since March 26th, the same time South Carolina did it. The Gamecocks go in with momentum. Mississippi right now is flailing a little bit. What do you get when the two teams meet this week in Oxford? And again, if South Carolina can win 2 of 3, I like their chance to move up just a little bit. And with everything that Founders Park is, and with the reputation of South Carolina baseball, see, Mississippi State's kind of the same way. I feel like Mississippi State's almost a lock with Dudley. Is it Dudley or Duty Noble Field? I think we had that. Yeah, it's a great baseball venue. And I feel like they're going to be a little bit more in line to host a regional than Tennessee or Knoxville would be, because of the venue, because of their knowledge of baseball, because of that baseball team.
Yeah, Tennessee or Oxford, I'm with you. And they took 2 out of 3 against Ole Miss in the series there. Certainly helps their chances, and just better off in the standings right now in the SEC. But misspoke earlier. So the bracket won't come out in 2 weeks, but these host sites will.
Right.
The bracket will come out at the same time as always after the end of the regular season.
That's also interesting, by the way, because I guess technically South Carolina could get a regional, but then if completely collapse, be sent to somebody else's regional, maybe, or would they end up being, say, like,
could
a
host,
seed?
right? I would think they would just make them a 2 seed in their own regional. I hear what you're saying.
Make them a 2 seed in the Columbia regional.
What I think is the
Yeah,
interesting
I don't
part is that they're going to announce the super regional host sites, and that's the place where your team or your venue could be hosting a super regional without your team playing in it this year. That's the big difference than as opposed to years past, because they're saying they need that much lead time to make sure protocols are in place to keep things safe for both teams and fans in this NCAA postseason, which we should all, again, just be thankful that we have this year. And I mentioned it earlier in the show, the difference of the sports landscape going into this year's NFL draft compared to last year, when I have never and hopefully will never be more thankful for an NFL draft than what we got last year. Even though it was goofy,
right,
and
this time
it was virtual, Bill, right? And you had Goodell in his fake living room doing the thing with virtual fans, but just to have anything at that point was fantastic.
The NFL was our rock.
It was
the entire year.
It was. You're exactly right about that. It was this time last year that we desperately needed just some form of sports, and the NFL kind of came through with their virtual draft, and it was something great. I mean, it was at this time last year that, man, I was like, dude, I would give anything just to have, a Mariners Diamondbacks game on television to watch, or a Rockies. Name 2 teams you normally could care less about, but that was where we were, and so it's nice to see everything kind of returning to normal, and certainly a big weekend baseball series, the NFL draft, the Kentucky Derbies this weekend. So it should be a very fun weekend.
By the way, breaking NFL news. One of the most incredible things I've ever seen is the Bucs have now returned every single contributor from their Super Bowl team. Antonio Brown's legal issues were cleared up last week. There was a settlement out of court, and he's back for 1 year, $3.1 million. I have never seen a Super Bowl winning team return every single player, and I've never seen a team in the draft with as complete of a roster and just not a hole to be found on that team. And they go into the draft just whatever the heck they want. Whoever's the best player available for 7 rounds, just take them and just make your team better. And really incredible team building job they've done in Tampa Bay. And I guess this is the Tom Brady effect. Nobody wants to leave. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that last part.
I feel
you
like
got to give him the credit, right?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like it's a lot of guys right now because what are the deals? Aren't most of them very short-term deals that they came back for? They gave up money. I agree with you. It's the maybe you say it's the Tom Brady effect. I feel like a lot of guys know, like, hey, I'll get one more ring. That'll complete my career. I'll probably have 2. And then my payday is in 2022. I'm getting paid after that. And I've got my 2 rings and my career is complete. And then I go for the investment, the big payday.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, like Shaquille Barrett took less money than if he went on the open market. Chris Godwin's on the franchise tag, so he doesn't have a choice. I think Ndamukong Suh is probably just going to retire whenever this run in Tampa Bay is up, and other guys are thinking, yeah, I'll go for broke this year with a reduced salary cap and no state income tax in Florida, and then we'll go for the big money next year once the cap inflates again.
Yes, Suh
Brady's contract is up next year, right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Is that true?
Brady's contract?
No. Here, why I say that is if they win a second one and he's gone to Tampa Bay, who knows what Tom Brady's going to do, right? And he legitimately may try to play till he's 50. We really don't know what he's going to do. But I only say that because if his contract's up and he can win a second one, I feel like that's where he basically tells Bill Belichick he's number one and just rides off into the sunset.
I think he added a year, but that was for cap purposes, and I don't know if it's a voided year or what the full deal is there.
So what I'm reading right now, the new extension is through 22, right? But he's only on like the hook for a 9-year deal or $9 million deal in 22. He's set to make $41 million in 2021. Tom Brady will do, I think, what he's always done. He'll figure it out with his organization. I give him all the credit for the Bucs being the only team in the salary cap era to return all 22 starters from the Super Bowl winning roster. And Ndamukong Suh was the last guy to make it official not too long ago when he re-signed. But that's what it is, right? Tom Brady has the ability, not only on the field, but off the field, to help these guys get their egos in check and say, hey, what are we doing, guy? Yeah, and it helps, too, that you have a lot of guys who've already made their money, by and large, in the league and don't have a ton to prove. But you say, hey, what's really important? You guys want a few extra dollars, or do you want to be considered great? And then maybe for the younger guys, they can understand, too, that along with those Super Bowl champions will come the huge payday eventually. But I give Brady all the credit here, man. And we've never seen it in professional sports, or we've certainly never seen it in football, where a guy can have that much impact immediately, not only winning, but also then keeping that winning roster together. It's incredible. Speaking of,
I mean, guys are begging to come to Tampa Bay. Adrian Peterson is basically openly begging the Buccaneers to sign him to a 1-year deal for whatever it costs because he wants to win a Super Bowl. So there's going to be guys that are, yes, like you said, putting your egos aside. Adrian Peterson, one of the greatest running backs of all time, just wants to be the backup there and get a ring and just contribute where he can. One of the noted hardest workers in the league, and yeah, it's amazing. Well, it's so infectious what Brady brings to the locker room.
And we saw this to some extent in New England with Randy Moss and guys towards the end of their careers being willing to go to New England. But I think we also saw that as a very brief exercise for most guys, and they understood that playing for Belichick and doing it the Patriot way was not necessarily player friendly, as opposed to Bruce Arians, who requires his assistant coaches to attend their kids' games or dance recitals or whatever. He says he'll fire them if they don't go. I think a much more worker-friendly environment, which is part of what we've been talking about this morning with some good boss, bad boss stories, because now is the time where NFL owners show their true colors. And if they're going to be micromanagers, yep, this is the time. The NFL draft, and there are some classic stories out there. The one Jay Gruden made public not too long ago about Daniel Snyder basically forcing the Washington football team's hand in drafting Dwayne Haskins recently is the ultimate bad boss story. If you have any of those, we would love to hear them as we're rolling on here in hour number 3. 803-404-6100 is the number you can call or text. Love to have you right now. Love to have you tomorrow night when we're going to do our live stream of the first round of the NFL draft as well. If you would like to jump on that video live stream with us, you are welcome. Just send me an email, tim.hill@cumulus.com. You're welcome to begin with, and then we'll see what happens there. We can always just click a button and kick you out if we have to do the virtual bounce on the 107.5 The
There's your
Bar.
bad
We're
boss
opening
right there. We'll just kick you out.
That's the only kind of bouncer I could be at a bar, by the way, just the virtual bouncer where you can click a button. Be a
My son's actually a bouncer now.
Oh, how about that? We can hire
Lots
him.
of good stories. Yeah, there you go.
We just get him to pop up on the video stream and just stand there, cross his arms.
That'd be pretty amazing.
Been
That'd
there.
actually be pretty good.
Bill's already shown off some of the refreshments that will be on hand for him and that thing. So love to have you with us for that as well. Should be an interesting night. We're going to test Patrick's knowledge, especially of the second and third rounders that he's proclaiming to have. We'll put it to the test in the rest of hour number 3 here. If you have any questions as it pertains to maybe your NFL team or some specific NFL players, we'll get to the Gamecock scouting reports when we come back, especially. What you got, Bill? You're just pumped up?
I got an idea for the live stream for the whiteboard behind Patrick.
Excellent.
I got a front and back.
It's been disappointingly blank this morning. Yesterday he came out, had best of position groups, worst position groups, and completely just is in the tank this morning. I think he's bouncing back though. We'll see.
Yeah, we're good now.
It's the early game.
We're gonna test his second and third round knowledge with some underrated, overrated guys here on the whiteboard.
You're listening to 107.5 again.
Dan Patrick.
Zeros.
Patrick, weekdays 9 until noon.
On 107.5 The Game.
Big night in the Hill House last night. A little 7 o'clock coach pitch game for the 6 and 8-year-old. Got the 1-year-old out there for a few minutes, and then he had to head back in. And that's what it's been around my house these days. Following around the 1-year-old, I was doing multiple laps yesterday, thinking exactly how I talk about that. And like, I'm not over-exaggerated at all, just doing laps around the 1-year-old. He picked up something off the carpet. I don't know what it was. And I think he got it into his mouth. We're trying to limit that as much as possible. Fortunately, we have the clean carpets at my house because Zero Res has come out a couple of times. Did a great job cleaning the carpets. Cleaned an area rug for me as well in the living room. Also freshened up the tiles in the bathroom and kitchen. But it's how Zero Res has cleaned our carpets that's especially important to us, especially with that 1-year-old now basically on floor patrol for us. A patented power water system is what Zero Res does. No harsh chemicals involved in the cleaning process. Also, no leftover soapy residue. That's why my carpets, like yours, stayed cleaner longer. Whether it's at your home or if you're in charge of a business, the commercial cleaning division, working day and night, following all the CDC guidelines, keeping everything clean and sanitized to the max. Give Zero Res a shout. 803-262-4020. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $119 plus a free hallway. When you mention me, Tim Hill, you can book your appointment online right now at ZeroResColumbia.com. That's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
From the Shepherd's Glass.
Oh, he's got the notepad now. Legal pad. A lot of info on that thing.
Yeah, it's just a list.
I want biggest sleepers. So like second and third round guys that will outperform that should have been first round guys, in your opinion.
You want that on the board right now? We need some names.
second and third round guys that'll outperform their stock, and then on the flip side, first rounders, projected first rounders that you think are being projected too high?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the overrated guys right now. We'll go kind of hot with the first one.
Who?
They're
This
on
is
part
the
of the
overrated.
overrated list, kind of hot, yeah.
Oh, Najee Harris, huh?
And because I really do like the player, just I wouldn't take him in the first round.
Well, that's what I'm asking. It's just guys that shouldn't be first rounders are being projected. And by the way, Bill Morgan on the live stream, doesn't matter what a baseball is operating at. The NCAA is going to limit regionals and super regionals to 50% capacity. So the fact that Starkville and Oxford are operating at full capacity will be irrelevant. The NCAA is going to put their own guidelines in, whether it's mask or capacity or whatever. They're going to be the ones that tell a ballpark what's allowed and what's not. And no, Jason, different year. You are thinking correctly. If you won, typically if you win your regional, well, if you're a top 8 seed and you win your regional, you host the super regional.
Holy crap! I didn't realize LSU was up 9-1 going to the bottom of the 8th on Saturday, looking to complete the sweep at Ole Miss. Ole Miss came back from down 9-1 in the bottom of the 8th. That's courtesy of Matt giving us the heads up on that. That's nuts. All right, Patrick's getting to work.
This is where he's flexing his knowledge. I gotta increase the size of my screen. Is that first guy a sleeper? Is that first guy a tight end? That sounds like a tight end name.
It is a tight end.
Yeah. Hatfurmuth? Fryer. Okay, I can see it now, kind of.
Holy crap, you're right. I think I'm confirming here. We're doing alternate stories. You guys are on the NFL draft. I'm still on this Ole Miss thing. You're right. All 8 runs they scored were with 2 outs. Crazy, Mark.
What was this? What is this? The LSU game? What are you talking about?
LSU up 9-1, bottom 8 at Ole Miss, looking to complete the sweep. Ole Miss gets 8 runs in the 8th with 2 outs to tie it up, and then they hit a walk-off home run in the 9th to win it.
Was that last weekend?
Yeah, Saturday.
Oh, it's a shame. Well, you can't win them all.
That is crazy. And they're still 10-8 in the league, losing 4 straight series. They got 2 sweeps. They've only won 2 series in the league, and they're 10-8. That's nuts.
Well, yeah. I mean, they were red hot early on.
Mm-hmm.
I think they got up to what, number 4? Oh, good Lord.
Yep.
Oh. 'Cause, 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 Mark, Dogecoin went up almost, 6 cents overnight? Apparently it's back to 30. It's in the 30s. 10 cent at 2:15 this morning. It was at 25 cents. Got all the way up to 33 cents. Look at that. What a jump.
All right. I know the first two guys, and that's it. All right. Penn State tight end, North Carolina.
I'm going to make one.
All right, I like those. The sleepers and the overrateds. The guys who are going to be drafted a little bit higher than they really should be.
Make the change. Watch out, whiteboard.
The question is Mac Jones on that list if Mac Jones is going to go 3?
Guys, are up.
$25K workday payday. 10 times a day. Started at 8 a.m. We'll go all the way until 5 p.m. Top of the every hour, we will announce a secret keyword. All you got to do is text in to qualify to win $100. That number, text 95819. The keyword changes every hour. Every winner of that keyword entered into the drawing of grand prize jackpot, $25,000. Again, 25K workday payday here on 107.5 The Game. And please go to 107.5thegame.com. Sign up for Grill Bill if you'd like to join us every Monday here for the next few weeks. You win a $50 IGA gift card if you put in good questions that we would like to ask Bill, get his take on. Also, if you join us, if you're qualified to join us on Monday, that means you're entered into the grand prize drawing for the Camp Chef Pellet Grill worth more than $1,000. Grill Bill, sponsored by the South Carolina Pork Board, its member farmers, IGA food stores, and Camp Chef. All right, Patrick has gotten to work. It's taken him a little while. He's finally gotten.
Yeah, I was trying to weigh because we did sleepers and overrated, and in order to do overrated, they have to be rated in some regard. So I was trying to think like guys that I don't like that are being highly regarded in some sense, and the sleepers. I mean, there's a lot of guys I like in the lower rounds, but to pick 5 is, and like good rationale for all of them is kind of difficult. But I think I feel pretty good about my 5 each way.
All right, let's flip that thing over. You got sleepers and you've got, well, these are more well-known guys, right?
Overrated, yeah, these are some pretty big names.
You got number 1 on your board. I completely disagree with. I think Najee Harris from Alabama is going to be a fantastic NFL player.
So
you're just saying this is just the running back value issue? Is that where you're at?
Yeah. So this is like, because the one thing I love about Najee Harris is that he was the number 1 recruit. Obviously, we know he was highly touted, but he probably could have gone pro after his junior year and would have been taken in like the 3rd round or 4th round or something like that. But he got so much better in his senior year. And I can tell just by that he's a really hard worker and he's somebody that you're going to want on your team. But if he's going to be taken in the top 20, I just think that's way too much. And that's why on the opposite side, one of my sleepers is Javonte Williams from North Carolina, because I kind of think that Najee Harris is going to go top 20, then Javonte Williams is going to go 2nd round. And I would a million times out of a million take Javonte Williams in the 2nd round over Najee Harris in the top 20.
Not necessarily because you think he's a better player. You think you're just going value.
I actually do kind of think he's a better runner. If you watch Javonte Williams highlights, watch his one run against Miami, or just the Miami game where him and Michael Carter both went over 200 yards against North Carolina. North Carolina against Miami. Yeah. So Najee Harris number 1.
Okay, Bill, your question I think is a really good one about his teammate, his quarterback, Mac Jones. Where do you have him, I guess, evaluated as? And the big talk is number 3 to San Francisco. If that happens, does he hop in this overrated category, or is he a bit of a sleeper for you? You don't think that's going to happen, and he slides down in the draft?
He is such an interesting case because I think outside of San Francisco, if San Francisco didn't trade to number 3, people would still be talking about Mac Jones falling to 15 to the Patriots. And if he doesn't go number 3, he still might fall to number 15 to the Patriots or something like that. Like he could plummet. But it was just only, it seemed like Kyle Shanahan single-handedly propped up his stock by wanting him the most. So I would say if he gets drafted number 3, I think he's a 5th best quarterback. But if he gets drafted number 3, he's going to be in by far the best position because he's going to have a good offensive line, a great running game to protect him, and he's going to make easy passes. Like the one theme of the San Francisco receiving corps is yak guys. Like if you were going to talk about Deebo Samuel, his number one trait is when he gets the ball in the ball in his hands, he's like a running back, and nobody can bring him down. That's why he's so good at returning. He's got great vision. He's just a great runner. Brandon Ayuk, same exact thing from Arizona State, and George Kittle is as good after the catch as a tight end as there is. So he's going to be in a phenomenal position. I just think that Justin Fields, if he was drafted to the 49ers, they'd be in position to potentially go to Super Bowls year in and year out. So I think whoever goes number 3 will be the best quarterback of the bunch, at least early on.
You said number 3 is when the draft starts for you, right? Because obviously Trevor Lawrence number 1, Zach Wilson looks like number 2. So to me, it's Mac Jones / Justin Fields is the most interesting story, and it will be the guy not taken number 3 to see what happens. Who else did you say, Patrick? Trey Lance in there as well. Okay. All right, that brings us to your number 2 overrated guy on your board, which going into college football last year was the number 1 guy, I think, rated by most people as the best SEC quarterback. Jamie Newman was getting a lot of play as the transfer to Georgia, coming from Wake Forest. He decided to opt out, and now that has earned him the number 2 spot on your overrated board. Why?
So I actually erased Kellen Mond's name because he's been getting a lot of buzz recently, and people talk about him as like by far the 6th best quarterback, and he's close to number 5. And I just was never at any point in college impressed by Kellen Mond. But Jamie Newman, I think, is actually going to be drafted pretty late, and I think the public perception on him might be a little bit higher than the NFL's is. So I think most casual fans look at the group of 5, the top 5 quarterbacks, obviously Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, Lance, and Mac Jones. And then they say, okay, well, the next group is like Kellen Mond, Kyle Trask, Davis Mills from Stanford, and then Jamie Newman. I don't think Jamie Newman is close to that discussion. I think he's, at this point, a lost cause. He's got great physical tools. He's jacked. He can run, and he can throw the ball a mile. But he didn't play this year because he got beaten out, and he was awful in the Senior Bowl. And that is one of the most important things for scouts. And he ran basically a high school offense in Wake Forest where he wasn't even that efficient, and he was only really good when Sage Surratt was there. So, I'm pretty much out on Jamie Newman.
Now, wait a minute. What do you think he gets drafted at, though? Because that's where I'm going with this. Like, I feel like you've hinted in recent days, Jamie Newman, who last year was considered a first-round draft. Yeah. Well, then I don't know if he's overrated just because if he goes in the 6th round.
So relative to public perception, I think he's overrated. Relative to where he might end up falling, I don't know. But I'm not plugged into the draft. So that's why I don't really do mock drafts like that, because the people that do mock drafts are getting word from
getting information on it.
Yeah. I would do if I did a mock draft, it would be what I would do at those positions.
Well, I'll tell you this. I will disagree with you on this one just because what I've seen, and I think you said it yesterday, is Kellen Mond is projected, or there are a lot of people thinking 2nd or 3rd round. And I'm with you on Kellen Mond. There's been nothing at Texas A&M that leads me to believe he's a 2nd or 3rd round quarterback. If Jamie Newman falls to the 6th or 7th round, then I use that. Then the value. But Kellen Mond going early, 2nd or 3rd round, because 2nd or 3rd round, you're counting on that guy kind of being a starter, aren't you? Like, where's the line?
Drew Lock was the 2nd rounder, and they're about to give him a 3rd year. So
yeah, where's the line where you draft a quarterback saying this is a guy we're planning for the future? Where is it, the 3rd round?
Yeah, I guess so. I wouldn't take any of these guys. I almost put just the 2nd tier of quarterbacks. Like, I wouldn't take Trask. I wouldn't take Davis Mills. I wouldn't take Kellen Mond. I certainly wouldn't take Jamie Newman in the 2nd round. 2nd round pick is too valuable. You draft a receiver or an offensive lineman there in the 2nd round, he's going to start for you next year. And, like, unless you're just the Bucks or somebody with just no needs, I don't like just basically willingly giving up a pick just for a shot in the dark on a quarterback you don't really like.
All right, so number 1, Najee Harris, overrated. Number 2, Jamie Newman, overrated. Who you got 3 through 5 there, Pat?
So I got De'Ami Brown, the wide receiver from North Carolina. I think he's a decent player, but people talking about him as like within the top 5, one of the top 5 receivers in the class. I just don't see him there. All he did was run deep, and he's fast. He's a good athlete, but I don't know that he's going to translate just like that right away. Number 4 is Levi Uzurike from Washington. Was a defensive tackle who didn't play last year. He opted out. Flashes like a lot of has decent, like really strong flashes, but they just didn't happen very often, and he didn't play last year anyway. People talking about him being a first-round pick at this point, which I think would be crazy, especially having not played last year. Christian Barmore, I've said, is the only first-round defensive tackle in this class, and I think Ali McNeil from NC State's probably better than Uzurike too, so I would definitely not take him in the first round. And then Brevin Jordan, the tight end from Miami, is probably going to get pushed up boards because he's a pretty good athlete. He didn't test very well for his size, and I just think he's not going to be. He's just kind of a tweener, and people see him as being a legit tight end. Tweeners haven't really worked out in the NFL, and I don't see him as any different really than like Kenny Yeboah, the guy from Ole Miss last year, who is a pretty good athlete. So I'd say them pretty much in the same category. That's the overrated guys.
All right, we got some sleepers on the other side of the Patrick Perrette whiteboard. We'll get to those when we come back. A couple of questions first. Courtney says, so do y'all think Trevor Lawrence will start this year? I think maybe the question to ask is, will he start game 1?
Yes.
And I go yes as well. Yeah.
His
all go
competition is Minshew, right? That's it. There's nobody else for them. They don't have
I think that's it. Ray hits us up on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Who is the 6th quarterback picked, Patrick? Seems like Kyle Trask is in line for that, no?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Kyle Trask. It's Kyle Trask, Davis Mills, Kellen Mond. Those are the 3, and it's going to be in the eye of the beholder. There has been buzz recently that the Bucs would just take Trask at 32, which would be pretty wild, but I wouldn't hate the process.
Tim, what happens tomorrow night where you go, that's pretty wild?
When you start busting out the cigars and things start lighting on fire. That probably is.
Okay.
When
I didn't know. I don't know at what point I say it's electric or what was it? What was this?
Yep, electric.
Okay.
Right.
I don't know what point I say it's electric, and I don't know at what point you say, oh, that's pretty wild. But I feel like we'll get both of those from Patrick.
Anthony on YouTube Live, the personal sponsor of Patrick's whiteboard. Patrick on Draft Picks. This is his calling. I think he's feeling like his investment is paying off. Again, the sleepers of the draft coming up and our dramatic conclusion here. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The home of the Gamecocks and new head football coach, Shane Beamer.
I'm a process-driven person, and we're going to get started day 1 advancing this program.
Now that's the Patrick we've come to know and love. Not that guy in the first couple hours.
Just had to get some coffee in him and talk a little draft.
Work out the headache, huh? Boy, Raj just texted in a carrot emoji. Good point, Chad. Good question.
I would never go on that network. Put me on NFL Network.
We will just play the clips from ESPN of Patrick breaking down the draft.
Yeah.
Or the NFL Network now that he's
This is going to be
slide leader.
My biggest fear with tomorrow is that we're just going to be relying on who's got plugged in cable. Who's actually watching on cable? Nobody, right?
Oh, then we're going to be so far behind.
I mean, I certainly will be because I'm watching on a Fire Stick. So
same here.
We're going to be getting comments that are like Pitts to Falcons, and I'm not going to know. I'm not going to know if it's a prediction or them announcing like, "Hey, the pick's in."
That'll all be part of the fun.
Yeah.
Tim, you will go to Beaufort Lending after Midstate Roofing. So about a minute,
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Sorry, I blew that one. Thank you.
That's right.
Do we have any like random NFL teams represented? I've seen Cowboys, Steelers, Raiders, Vikings.
Jason's a Viking guy. What would be a random team, you think? You got
a Jacksonville fan.
No, yeah, Chargers would be a good one. Seahawks, I know we've gotten that guy, the Sarge, calls up every now and again about the Seahawks.
I want to find a Jags fan to get on the stream because they have such an exciting. They have top five in the first 65, I think.
Apparently, Raj is a Denver guy. He's asking who's Denver's taking. Oh, I've never seen that. It's popped up that Patrick's device is not connected.
Uh-oh.
He
Yeah, right now.
unplugged his camera.
That would be all of us.
Got
now
excited.
if Brandon, he wouldn't be able to join us. All of a sudden, everything just broke down. The one, like,
He would break down.
more than 24 hours before the night of his year.
Yeah.
25 seconds.
I'd have to have him over here. I got a second computer I could use.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep, just can't see you.
Yeah, we can hear you. I think it said now we
Stand
can't.
by 10 seconds.
It's unconnected.
Apparently, we're
This
coming
is
back.
bizarre. It's plugged in.
No, Tim's on Beaufort Lending.
Timing is everything. We've seen those commercials, and it certainly applies right now to the mortgage industry. Check out Beaufort Lending. If you haven't checked out Beaufort Lending before, all Benji Getzi asks from you down there is just to put them on your list. 843-524-2404 is the number. And Benji understands you might already have a relationship with a lender out there or a previous one, and certainly understands and respects that. See what they can get you. See what kind of deals and numbers they can get you, and then let Benji have a shot too. He has confidence that he and his team at Beaufort Lending, with their 25 years of experience, are going to get you the best deal. And having just gone through this process with Benji the other day, I can tell you right now, first of all, it's an easy process. You just plug some information in, and Benji gets right back to you with the deal that he can get you. But I was really impressed with the numbers that he showed me. And again, it is a great time to check out the market and see what you can do, whether you're looking to refinance or purchase a new home out there. This is the time to do it. And Benji Getzi and Beaufort Lending, the people to do it with. Beaufort Lending, 843-524-2404. Sorry, I had you potted down there. All right, Patrick's back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Just said device is not connected or disconnected.
Yeah, I didn't unplug it or anything. Just the green light went out and weird.
Oh boy. Sounds like a trip to the store is in order for a backup camera.
No, because I'll just use the laptop camera if I need to.
Yeah, you got a backup. Okay. Let's do the Grand Slam here, Jen. The homer and the comment, please. I'll do one last liner first. .1075 The Game, Twin Peaks, giving you a chance to speak your mind whenever you feel like it. Hot Take Hotline there for you 24/7. 803-978-6654 if you need to vent. The Hot Take Hotline sponsored by Twin Peaks for the men who never settle. Go see them down in the Vista at 600 Gervais Street. If you checked out Gamecock baseball last night, you saw a grand slam from Noah Myers taking full opportunity of a rare start in the lineup.
Going to be gone. It is out of here. It is a grand slam home run by Noah Myers. Well, making 2 for 13 for the season. And, buddy, he got his money's worth that time. How about Noah Myers?
Obviously a big hit for him and for us tonight. Great to see him. Great to see great kids get rewarded like that.
Mark Kingston, Carolina's Head baseball coach, a 9-5 winner last night. Disappointed, he said, in the ninth inning where they gave up all 5 of those runs. 7 2/3 shutout innings from Jack Mahoney, the starter, and big games from Brady Allen, 4 for 5, with a couple of RBIs off a 2-run home run there in the 8th. Also, Wes Clark, 3 for 3 at the plate, a couple of walks, so reaching base all 5 times he came to the plate. A good sign for Gamecock baseball. Going to Ole Miss this weekend, and Ole Miss, coming off of dropping 2 out of 3 to LSU, were in terrible position. Certainly on their way to getting swept at home, down 9-1, going into the bottom of the 8th in that series finale last Saturday, and then got 8 runs with 2 outs to tie the game and a walk-off home run in the 9th inning as well, just to salvage 1 out of those 3 games. It's 4 straight SEC series. They have dropped 2 out of 3, and yet they're still 10-8 in conference play with a couple of series sweeps. They've only won 2 out of their 6 series, and yet an above 500 record. Quite the anomaly there for Ole Miss baseball, as still a good baseball program, and yet has struggled to win an SEC series here recently. The Gamecocks trying to bounce back from dropping 2 out of 3, their first series loss in their last 5 in the SEC. So we'll be interesting to see what happens there from the baseball perspective coming up this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday series. So back to that regular weekend rotation for Gamecock baseball. Wanted to get back to the NFL draft discussion. Patrick Perrette, @_Patrick Perrette, where you can follow him on Twitter, our NFL draft analyst that just gave us the overrated guys, his top 5 overrated guys, including a couple of SEC guys. I guess Jamie Newman's not really an SEC guy now, never having played for Georgia, but a Wake Forest quarterback at number 2. You had Najee Harris, the running back, at number 1, not because you don't like him, just because of where running backs are, and you don't think he should be going in the first round or maybe even the top of the second round. A guy that's on the other end of that spectrum is a running back for North Carolina last year, and Javonte Williams. You have him as number 2 on your sleeper board behind Penn State tight end Pat Freiermuth.
Yeah, Pat Freiermuth is just going to be – he's going to be one of those guys that is going to start from day one, and he's just going to be rock solid for whatever team drafts him. Like, he can block, he can catch, he never drops balls, he's very physical. I think he could be a first-round pick. It's just he doesn't necessarily have that ridiculous upside that, like, a Kyle Pitts does, obviously, as a receiver. So I just think he's going to be super solid, and I would potentially value that in the end of the first round if there was nobody else. Javonte Williams was number 2. He's just one of the most violent running backs you'll see, and I would take him as the first running back, but again, not in the first round. And then I got a couple wide receivers on this list. Tylan Wallace has just been so consistent for Oklahoma State for 4 years. He is really good at contested catches. He runs well after the catch for a smaller guy. He's not a freak athlete, so that's why people, I don't think, are talking about him that much. And he kind of just flew under the radar, but he's so solid, and I just can't see him not translating in some regard, like as just a 60 catch a year slot guy at least. Like, he's just a good football player. And then number 4 is someone who we've played against for years, but you never hear his name called. Josh Palmer from Tennessee didn't have big numbers ever, really. He was just kind of a 400, 500 yard a year guy. But I just think he's a really good football player, and I think he's going to have a good NFL career, and we're just going to laugh at Tennessee fans and say, you guys were so bad at quarterback that you had this great receiver, and he was just the definition of average. Like,
Garantano was coming around.
Third best quarterback in the SEC?
He was coming around, and then you guys put him down. By the way, real quick, did you see the SEC short yesterday? I think it was yesterday.
No.
On Tennessee quarterback recruiting?
No.
Oh, gotta check. Go to the YouTube page and check it out on Tennessee quarterback recruiting. It'll be pretty funny. And I only say that because I do agree with you. I think Josh Palmer's lack of quarterbacks may have hurt him more than people realize, and that's a good sleeper. That's a good pick. I like that. That's what we're going for.
Number 5 is going to be a first-round pick in Greg Newsome, but I think he's underrated because I think he's going to be the 4th corner taken, probably, maybe the 3rd if Caleb Farley gets pushed down, but he is much closer to being number 1 than he is number 5. Like, if we're in the trust tree, he might be better than J.C. Horn. Like, might be. J.C. Horn has upside like nobody else in the class, but Greg Newsome is just so solid, doesn't get beaten. always looking at the quarterback when he's in, just plays zoned really well. Like, he's going to play well from day one, which I can't guarantee about JC.
Wow. We're not in the trust tree, Patrick. This is live radio. And
By far the highest upside, and I think he deserves to go top 10, top 12, whatever it ends up being. But Greg Newsome's a stud. People don't talk about him enough. The last one is Tommy Tremble,
right?
the
10 seconds.
fullback, tight end, H-back from Notre Dame. Kid
30.
off. He's fun to watch. He doesn't catch a ton of balls, but I can see him being like a really, really fun to watch fullback. He could be the next Kyle Juszczyk.
Where you got him value-wise in this year's
Third
NFL
round.
draft?
I would be thrilled to have him in the third round.
15.
Patrick Perrette, ladies and gentlemen. Much more of this in tomorrow night's live stream. 107.5 The Bar debuts. It's going to be fun on draft night for sure. Love to have you for that. We'll preview it for you tomorrow morning. Dan Patrick Show coming up next.
This is South Carolina head women's coach Dawn Staley, and you're listening to the home of the Gamecocks, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia, 107.
Did you guys see Chris?
What's going on over there, bro?
Did you see Sims' mock draft?
I didn't hear it, but I saw I didn't hear what he said.
Well, I didn't see what he said about JC, but he had Justin Fields going 32 to the Buccaneers.
I did hear that too. Oh, I thought it was the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
This is just what Chris Sims does. Why are we going to pay
Well,
attention?
it was exactly what he wanted because you know what getting ratioed is? Have you heard that phrase on Twitter now?
The what?
Like, getting ratioed.
No.
It's when you have more replies to your tweet, like people arguing with you, than you do likes. So I looked at his. He had when I looked, it was 2,000 replies, 300 likes, and then if you looked at his retweets, it was 100 retweets and 2,000 quote tweets of people quoting it, being like, "Look at this idiot." So
yeah,
he accomplished exactly what he wanted to.
Yeah, he's that guy.
No, Tim.
All right.
I didn't retweet it on purpose.
A bird just smacked into the window right here.
Whoops.
Yikes.
Is it dead?
That's
Like
always
right there at the
awful.
end. It actually scared me because it hit. It wasn't a little bird either. It was
Thump. Yeah, those thumps are not fun. A sunroom in my house growing up, that would happen every now and again.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Had to
DC.
battle
Well,
another
first one in. Again, if you guys want to get on that live stream tomorrow night, if you want to pop up in the video, just send me an email. The email is in earlier in the live chat, tim.hill@cumulus.com. We're going to have fun doing that. We'll mention it again tomorrow, but looking forward to it. We'll schedule that thing coming up soon, so you should be good. Mark, I'll double check and make sure I got your email. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you're subscribed on the YouTube, you'll see it on YouTube.
Right.
In the next couple hours, probably.
Travis, you as well. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you in the morning.
All right.
All right. You guys need anything